If possible, could you please be seated? Good evening, everyone. I don't know if I could be heard. All right, good evening, everyone. You can't hear me? Mine, I told you I couldn't hear myself. Hello? Okay, can you hear me now? Can everybody hear me? Could you raise it up just a little bit more? Or is that it? That's the Mac. Sorry. Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the City of Englewood City Council workshop meeting. We're in the Municipal Court Building in Englewood, New Jersey. It is December 5th, 2023, and it is 7:37 in the evening. I hereby call this meeting to order. Could you please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, boy. Okay. Yancy, could you please read the statement regarding the Open Public Meetings Act?
This meeting is called pursuant to the provisions of the Open Public Meetings Law. Notice of this meeting was included in a notice sent to the Record and the Star Ledger and advertised in said newspapers on January 10th, 2023, posted on the bulletin board in the municipal building, and has remained continuously posted as the required notices under the statute. A copy of this notice is and has been available to the public and is on file in the office of the municipal clerk. Proper notice having been given, the municipal clerk is directed to include the statement in the minutes of this meeting.
Roll call.
Councilman Cobb? Here. Councilman Rosenzweig?
Here.
Councilman Wilson?
Present.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Present.
Council President Marin?
Here.
Also present is Mayor Michael Wild, City Manager Robert S. Hoffman, City Attorney Bill Bailey, CFO Michael Kaufman, and City Engineer Franz Volsi.
Thank you, Yancy. We're going to begin this evening's meeting with the swearing in of probationary police officers. Each council member will read to you the biography of the officers being sworn in. Can we begin? Lisa, would you like to begin? Well, I was give Charles a chance to. Oh, okay. You want to give it? Yes.
If I may just read a brief statement, and
okay.
then we can start. Ladies and gentlemen, for the guests that are here and the families, my name is Michael Wilds. I have the privilege of being the mayor of this city. It is a distinct honor to welcome 5 new members of our Englewood Police Department, a testament to the dedication of the administration that we have continuing to fill the ranks of our public safety agencies. I want to thank our city manager, Robert Hoffman, our police chief, Tom Greeley, our deputy chief, as well as the city council for ensuring that we have resources and full manpower at hand to keep our city safe. To our newest officers, I have always considered public service to be a public trust. Tonight, we place our trust in you as we welcome you as part of the Englewood family. Your talent, experience will add to an amazing group of individuals that make up our Englewood Police Department, and we look forward to seeing you grow and succeed and be safe as a valued member of our community. We take great pride in the diversity of our city, and we know that it's important to see this diversity reflected in our public servants here as well. Tonight, we continue to expand on that pursuit, and we are proud to welcome our first 2 Muslim officers to the Englewood Police Department. Each added perspective can only serve to strengthen the relationship between our residents and the Englewood Police as the common thread of placing our community before ourselves in public, as public service binds us all together. Congratulations on taking this important step in your careers in public service, and thank you for choosing Englewood as a partner in your public trust. Inshallah, it should be God's grace to make sure that you're protected, that you go home safely to your beautiful families, and that you understand how important a night this is to all the residents of our great city. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Michael. Charles, could you introduce Police Officer Juan Capellan? Yes.
Police Officer Juan Kaplan, badge 267. Police Officer Kaplan was born and raised in the Bronx, New York by his parents, who are first-generation immigrants from the Dominican Republic. P.O. Kaplan is fluent in Spanish, as it is his first language. He is one of 5 children, 2 sisters, 2 brothers. P.O. Kaplan is the father of 2 amazing daughters who make him very proud every day. He states his family is a big reason for all of the success he has had in his life and made him into the man he is today. P.O. Kaplan began his law enforcement career in the New Jersey Department of Corrections before obtaining the position of police officer in Patterson's police department. He initially worked patrol, eventually became a detective in the Major Crimes Division. As a member of the Patterson Police Department, P.O. Kaplan received the Chief's Medal, Medal of Valor, and the Life Saving Award.
Thank you, Charles.
Congratulations.
I would also like to recognize the presence of our chaplain, Officer Deach. Thank you so much for joining us. Testing? There we go. Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Officer Capellan, you wanted to have your daughters and your girlfriend join us? Yes. Please, if you don't mind stepping forward. Bob. Face the audience. Hi guys. How are you? Pardon? Understand that? Good. Okay. Officer, please place your right hand on the Bible, raise the left hand, repeat after me. Everybody's take a step forward. The new system. Hopefully it works. Thank you. Okay, take 2. I state your name.
I, Juan Capellan,
Do hereby swear or affirm
do hereby swear or affirm
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance to the same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established
established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people
of
the City of Englewood.
the city of Englewood.
Further, I do swear
Further, I do swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
of
of the position of
the position of
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
It's wonderful. Congratulations.
Lisa, I think mine is on a little bit too hard. I apologize to all of you. This is a new system. We're just getting used to it, so just bear with us. Could you make mine lower? $100,000. Lisa, could you read the biography of Police Officer Kevin Brito?
Okay. Police Officer Kevin Brito, number 268. Police Officer Brito grew up in the city of Patterson, is of Dominican descent, and is fluent in Spanish. Family is very important to him and is one of his core values. He has 4 brothers and is the proud father of a young daughter. Within the last 4 years, working for the city of Patterson, he obtained training in crisis intervention and was an active field training officer. He was awarded New Jersey Officer of the Month, chief medals, 2 chief medals, 2 letters of commendation, 1 medal of merit, and 1 life-saving award.
Thank you, Lisa. Michael?
Is this your wife and daughter? Okay. Please come here. Stand up to the side. Okay. This is the officer's wife and daughter. Okay. Okay, please repeat after me. I state your name.
Kevin Brito,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support the Constitution
that I will support the Constitution
of the United States
of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear
and that I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and
to the
allegiance
same
and allegiance to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established
established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people
of the people
of the city of Englewood.
of the city of Englewood.
Further,
Further,
I do swear
I do swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the position of
of the position of
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Police Officer Mohammed Dumbasi, badge number 269. P.O. Dumbasi is a first-generation American to parents who immigrated from Turkey. He grew up in Patterson and is fluent in Turkish. He has 2 younger brothers, one of which is in law enforcement as well. P.O. Dumbasi joined the Patterson Police Department in September 2020. In January 2022, he was moved to the Special Investigations Division. P.O. Dumbasi was selected Officer of the Month for July of 2023. He was recently awarded the ASIS International's Valor Award.
Do you have family here, sir?
My brother.
Your brothers. Okay, wonderful. Please.
parents are back.
Your parents are here too? Brothers, police officers?
This one here.
Who's got a better shot? It's Dumbasi? Okay. Is there anybody else you want to have?
My parents.
Okay. How many children do they have?
It's the 3 of us.
3. Is he a police officer?
No, he's a small one. He went to the private sector, so
That's wonderful. Hi, assalamu alaikum. How are you? Pleasure. Alhamdulillah. Hi, pleasure. Welcome. So this is parents from Turkey with 3 sons, 2 of which are police officers, and 1 got out and did something professional, they say. So that's wonderful. And it's going to be done on the Holy Quran And this is a first for the city of Englewood and a big privilege for all of us today. Please. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Mohammed Dambesi,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments
and to the governments
established
established
in the United States
in the United
and
States
in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people
of the people
of the city of Englewood.
of the City of Englewood.
Further,
Further,
I do swear
I do swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the position of
of the position of
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Kevin. Police Officer Wissam Salome.
Good evening. Police Officer Salim embarked on a life-changing journey at the age of 9, leaving Palestine to start anew in America. Initially faced with the challenges of adapting to foreign land and leaving behind the familiar, he embraced the idea that change can bring positive transformation. Growing up in a multilingual environment, he learned to effortlessly communicate in both English and Arabic, a testament to the language woven by his parents and the upbringing shared by 4 brothers. Growing up in the city of Patterson and witnessing the struggles around him fueled his desire to choose a career in law enforcement. Police Officer Salim received the award for intervening in an altercation at Kennedy High School, leading to the recovery of a fully loaded handgun. He achieved the rank of detective at the age of 21. He played a role in confiscating over 80 guns from the streets while as an officer in Patterson. He also assisted in apprehending multiple suspects involved in cases ranged from murder and attempted murder to robbery.
The officer's fiance and mom is coming along. Pleasure. And father. Salman. Okay. Mom, will you hold this? Mom. Okay. Let's move over. Seal behind you. Let's raise your right hand. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Wissam Salome,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution
and the Constitution
of the State of New Jersey,
of the State of New Jersey,
and that I will bear true faith
and that I will bear true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same
and to the governments established
and to the governments established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state
under the authority
under the authority
of the people
of the people
of the City of Englewood.
of the City of Englewood.
Further,
Further,
I do swear
I do swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the position of
the position of
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
Englewood Probationary Police Officer
according to the best of my ability,
according to the best of my ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. I want you to know how important this night is. That an Orthodox Jewish mayor can swear in a Palestinian Muslim police officer in our city. Has a lot of...
Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2, Paul DeMarco, badge number 717. Ken?
Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2 DeMarco is from New Milford, New Jersey. He grew up playing sports such as wrestling and football, while his family was always supportive of his athletic pursuits. He was a highly competitive wrestler as a youth and up into high school. Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2 DeMarco graduated from the Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2 Academy in Cape May County 3 months ago and was a Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2 in Cape May, New Jersey. Welcome.
Dad, Mom? How are you, sir? Welcome. How are you? Welcome. Pleasure. Put the mic on. Put your left hand on the mic. Left hand. Raise the right hand. Please repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Paul DeMarco,
Do hereby swear
do hereby swear
that I will support
that I will support
the Constitution of the United States
the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey.
and the Constitution of the State of New Jersey,
That I will bear
that I will bear
true faith
true faith
and allegiance
and allegiance
to the same
to the same,
and to the governments
and to the government
established
established
in the United States
in the United States
and in this state
and in this state,
under the authority
under the authority
of the people
of the people
of the city of Englewood.
of the city of Englewood.
Further,
Further,
I do swear
I do swear
that I will faithfully,
that I will faithfully,
impartially,
impartially,
and justly perform
and justly perform
all the duties
all the duties
of the position of
of the position of
Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2
Special Law Enforcement Officer Class 2
in the Englewood Police Department
in the Englewood Police Department,
according to the best of my ability.
according to the best of my ability.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations. Hold on.
Put me on the spot, kiddo.
Congratulations.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Here you go, sign something. While we finish the signing of the swearing in, I'm going to ask our Police Chief Tom Gurley to address the community.
Good evening, everybody. I just want to take a second to thank everyone for being here. Thank you to Mr. Hoffman, our governing body, for the support you had through this process. For most of the guys here, this has been a long process. It started back in May. There were a lot of interviews. It was a deep process, and I'm confident that we have 4 of our best full-time officers here with our first special class 2 in a long time. Guys, look around. I think there's a lot of love in this room right now. There's a lot of support for you. I see a lot of Patterson officers back there. I'm sorry, but I think it's a testament to the caliber of officers you're getting. I don't think they would be here if they didn't love you guys and support you, so I think that speaks volumes. I know where a lot of you are coming from, but relatively, Englewood is a tough town. Community and the department expects a lot of you guys, and I know you're not going to be disappointed. So I wish you all the best for getting going forward and a successful career. So with that, I'd like all 5 of you to step up here, and I'd like to ask our police chaplain, Regan
Won't you bow me in prayer as we pray for the safety of these new officers and the wisdom that God can give to them. Gracious God, we thank you for this opportunity to bless these officers. Pray, oh God, that you would watch over them as they protect the streets here in Englewood. Pray, oh God, that there will be a spirit of solidarity, spirit of charity, spirit of wisdom bestowed upon each of them. Pray, oh God, that you will continue to bless our city and the residents of this city. Pray that you keep them safe and keep their families safe as well. It's in Christ's name we pray. Amen. If everybody would step forward, we'll take a photo, please. Thank you. That's a wrap. Thank you.
Excuse me, everyone. We have one more award to make for the police department, and after that we will take a break so those that want to leave can leave. Please return to your seats so we can complete this part of our meeting.
Can everyone please return to their seats? We need to continue the meeting. Thank you.
Please return to your seats. We have one more award to make.
Excuse me, everybody. Excuse me. Guys, we have one more presentation to make. If you could just give us a minute, turn to your seats if you'd like. Thank you.
We will be adjourning for a short recess after this, so people will have a chance to leave, should they desire to. We have a special presentation. This is the best part of the job, awarding its resolution 364-12-05-23. We have 3 officers that were able to be here tonight that are part of this award. The others are on duty and unable to attend. Yancy, would you read the resolution, please?
This is resolution recognizing 200 Club of Bergen County Award recipients.
Okay. The recipients that we have with us tonight are Deputy Chief Matt De La Rosa, Chris Sabo, and Brett Devaney. If you could just come up, please, so we could recognize you. Do we have a motion? Second?
Second.
Okay. Roll call.
Councilman Cobb? Yes. Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Congratulations. Mayor Wiles, would you like to give the plaques to the officers?
You want to tell the community what happened? Yeah, tell me. Thank you.
I have it.
Gentlemen. On June 23, 2023, at approximately 0738 hours, Englewood Police Department officers responded to the above address in a report of a male acting erratically. The involved person is well known to the officers as an emotionally disturbed person, having once thrown himself off the Route 4 overpass by South Dean Street, a drop over 50 feet. Officer Krychek ascended the narrow stairs to make contact with the man who was up in the third floor attic. The officer quickly made sure that the caller's 2 family members, one of whom had been bedridden, were safe. As officers awaited additional resources to arrive, the male began to throw objects down the stairs at them, all while yelling for the police to just die and stating, quote, "I will kill you if you come through that door," end quote. It became even more dangerous when the male climbed out of the third-story attic apartment onto the narrow roof, all while experiencing an intense manic episode. At this point, officers were able to make it up to the attic to try to speak to him. While on the narrow sloping roof, the man screamed at onlookers and taunted officers to shoot him. He also began shattering glass windows with a TV antenna and throwing items at persons and the officer below. One of our trained crisis negotiators, Sergeant Leo Restrepo, rushed on the scene, dressed in a Junior Police Academy polo shirt and shorts as he was assigned to JPA that day, and began speaking with the man from outside. Realizing that this was not effective, Sergeant Restrepo went to the third floor where police officers Sabo, Devaney Coleman, Detective Chapman, and Deputy Chief De La Rosa were standing by. As this team of officers used shields to protect them from flying glass and debris, Sergeant Restrepo began to build a rapport with the man and determined that the incident began after he was told he could not smoke. Excuse me. Excuse me. Cigarettes in the house.
After 25 minutes of talking, Sergeant Restrepo was able to entice the man with the promise of a cigarette to come inside. Officer Devaney had been instructed to secret himself in a closet near the attic window. The man, who now had a wooden pole in his hand, came back into the attic to retrieve the cigarette and sat on the floor. Officer Restrepo continued to speak with the man and told him to drop the pole, which he refused to do. As officers approached, he raised the stick up and began to stand up. Fearing that the man was going to assault the officers with the stick or with any of the shards of glass on the floor, Officer Devaney, along with the other officers, were able to quickly bring him under control. He was provided with care and transported by ambulance to the mental health treatment he needed. The only injuries he sustained were lacerations suffered as a result of his own actions. What was not captured in the cell phone recordings of the many onlookers outside was the amount of teamwork, care, and patience shown by the officers in the attic. Without the efforts of these officers, this incident could have taken a tragic turn. Thank you.
Thank you. His father was a police officer in the community. They give me have asthma. It hit me. Maybe everyone can come down for a photo. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to take a 5-minute break. If you'd like to go home, now's a good time. If you want a nap, you can stay for the rest of the evening.
Testing. Testing.
All right. Good evening, everyone who has remained at the meeting. There is going to be a slight change in the order of the program. We are going to move resolution number 380-12-05-23, which is honoring the Bergen Family Center on their 125th anniversary. We have a presentation that we would like to make. Could you please meet me up front so I can present this? Sorry about the change.
Don't worry about it, Jimmy. I don't want to hit nothing when I want to act.
This is a resolution honoring Bergen Family Center's 125th anniversary. We are so happy to have you in Englewood. We are so proud of what you accomplished, and we honor you sincerely.
Let me introduce you guys. Alexis Coleman, Harry Martin. Harry is the board president. Alexis is responsible for all activities and fundraising. And they have played, along with all other members of the Bergen family, an intricate part in this community for 125 years, providing services for our residents and residents in the county. So it's at this time that was my honor to pen this resolution and honor them. with a resolution. For all of us who've used those services or know somebody who's used those services, I invite you to go to the Bergen Family Center if you need services and use those services. So thank you for your service in there. I appreciate it. And keep up the good work. Thank you. Give him a hand, please. Okay.
Very, very
Appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
You took your coat off?
You wanted me to take it?
Hold on, we're gonna take a picture.
Oh, okay.
Target.
Right here. Everybody good? Thank you very much. Thank you so much.
I would just like to mention that the reason we are not doing the presentation to the football team and all of the coaches and all the terrific people that worked is they were unable to be here tonight. So we're going to do it at our next meeting because we would like them to be present when we make the presentation. Okay, we're moving on now. Approval of minutes, Resolution 365-12-05-23, which is the resolution accepting minutes. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay. Yancy?
Just as a reminder, these are minutes for this resolution are prior to 2023. So,
I got
Well,
it.
part of them are, and
Where's
part of
Mr.
them
Cobb?
aren't. Good roll call?
do we have enough?
Do we have to split that because they're from,
I know Mr. Cobb.
you have, okay, these are all,
Yeah, we have it.
these are all from 2021, and we also have 2023.
That's the next resolution.
Okay. Roll call, this is for 2021.
So Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Minutes.
Abstain.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Abstain.
Council President Marin.
Yes,
You don't have enough votes. We need one
Here's
Councilman Cobb.
Councilman Cobb.
I think Charles is coming back.
Councilman Cobb, we're voting on minutes from 2021.
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll now move on to Resolution 366-12-05-23. These are the minutes from 2023. Do we have a motion?
Motion.
Second? Okay, roll call?
Councilman Cobb,
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes. We now move on to bills and claims. This is Resolution 367-12-05-23 to approve the payment of bills and claims. Do we have a motion? Second? Second on bills and claims?
Second with
okay.
questions.
Yeah, I'm going to, we open the floor to questions now on bills and claims. Does anybody have any questions?
I do, Madam Chair.
Go ahead.
On page number 2, under the Police Department, Valley Health Medical.
What and who was this for?
It was for the new officers, but I'll get you their specifics.
I'm sorry, say again, was this for the psychological for the new police officers?
The physicals. But I'll get more information for you.
Okay, and if we go down, same row, quote for 4 Dell-powered Edges, R450s, for $28,694.37.
Those were 4 servers, 2 for the Detective Bureau.
I'm sorry.
4 servers, computer servers.
Okay.
2 were for the Detective Bureau, 1 was for their Enforcee system, and 1 is for the domain controller.
All right, and if we turn it to page 3 for the emergency tree removal for $3,400.
I'll get you which property that was for.
Okay. And if we stay there with, if we go down to vehicle repair for sanitation, it says Gabriel Truck Sales. This isn't something we bought and then repaired, is that correct?
Sorry, which one?
$834.22, sanitation equipment repair, MA 233185. Gabriel Truck Sales.
Yeah. So what, it was vehicle repair, so what was the question? Sorry.
This isn't something we recently purchased and then had to repair, right?
I'll also get you which vehicle that was for.
And the last one for DPW, Atlantic Towing and Recovery.
Where is that?
In the description on page 3, 3/4 the way down, Central Maintenance Garage, Motor Vehicle 23-03045. It says tires, $4,523. Is that for our entire fleet?
No, but I'll get you which vehicle it was for.
Mr. Cobb had,
Why are we not buying financial foods then? As opposed to tow company?
Mr. Cobb.
Oh,
Microphone.
And on page number 4, under the Health Department, Extra Space Management Storage Unit, November and December, $659.46. Is this part of the new program that we have to decrease the storage units that we're storing our information?
No, this was for the renovation for the health department. We needed to keep their files somewhere.
No, last one, I'm sorry, Mr. Cobb, Councilman at Large. If we go, my last one would be, I believe, number 6, page 6. Actually, I'm sorry, I have 2 more. Page 6, New Jersey Tree Foundation, tree planting.
Those were 137 trees at $174 each.
At $23,000.
137 trees.
137?
Trees, yeah, at $174 each.
Okay. I'd like to see where those trees were when given the opportunity. And the last one, Same line, 2024-25 county ADA ramp design, $9,150. That's not the price for designing the ramp, right? That's for completion?
No, it's actually the price for designing the ramps. Part of what we have to do in terms of the county paving the roadways, we have to design the handicap ramps for the roads before they can pave. So it's part through the county project. That's refundable. Once a project is completed, the city actually get the money back for the design.
Are we talking about on the curb line from street to sidewalk?
Yes, we're talking about the handicap ramps throughout the
Right.
county roads.
Are not all those ramps the same?
No, they are not.
It's what, 2-3 different variations?
Yeah, there's a few different variations, but they're not all the same.
Okay. That's a healthy price.
It is a hefty price.
Okay.
But the county will not pave their road until we design
And
the
we
trench
will
road.
get reimbursed for
And we
that.
get reimbursed at the end of the project. Yes,
I'm eager to see that. Thank you, sir.
no problem.
Yes, sir.
I'll just let you know that I attended when they gave us the money to do the ramps. So we have a certain amount of time to get them done. So
Okay.
we did, the money is there. I was over at Hackensack, so that one we're good with.
Okay,
For this year.
okay.
Next year, who knows?
All right, thank you, Councilman at large.
I got a
you.
question with, I don't know if this was asked about the 2022 Ford lease, Bronco,
No,
$11,000?
it's a 3-year,
Car,
sorry?
it's an old car, was it?
It's a 3-year, it's a 3-year lease.
Who has that vehicle?
Code enforcement.
Code enforcement has the Bronco?
I think that's the one you're talking about?
The bottom of page 1?
Yeah, I got it. My question to you is this: since this report is broken up, are we abstracting from each one of those budget items, from those departments' budgets? Is that how we're deducting them?
Yes.
Okay, so at the next meeting, can you just give me a lowdown of each where every department stands per their budget?
Yes.
By the end of the year?
Yes.
So we'll know who's short, who's long, whatever. All right? Thank you.
Yep.
I'm sorry, are there any other questions on the budget, on the bills and? Okay.
Yeah, I do, excuse me. On the Recreation Department, the Murder Mystery Company, $17.99. Do we know what that was? So almost $1,800. So this would be page 4, about 2/3 of the way down this.
It was for it looks like it was for the after-school program. They had a special murder mystery program.
Do we know how many people attended that?
Michael, I think that was the one for November 22nd?
Yeah.
Yeah, that'd be the day before Thanksgiving. So.
Yeah, there was, I'll have to look in the emails, but there was between 35 and 50 people, but we'll get that information and send that to the council.
So that's about $50 a head?
Approximately, yes.
And how many and how many hours did it last? Do we know?
It was about 3 hours, I believe. We do have a breakdown of it, so we'll send it out to the council.
Did anyone negotiate with them to try to get a lower rate?
That would be a question that we would ask of our rec director. She's on vacation at the moment.
I'm done.
I can add something to that because I asked the same question in advance of the council meeting, and the answer was as follows. 3 actors performing luncheon theme for 48 students on November 22nd from 2 to 5 p.m. On-site performance at McLeod.
Hopefully, these are also questions that'll be asked at the budget hearings, because we've rented a lot of different equipment for recreation programs, and it's a really good question.
I'm going to ask that before we vote on the bills and claims, can we pull some of these bills and claims and vote on them separately, please? Can we separate some of the bills and claims from others and have a separate vote?
That requires a resolution. It can be done. We have to change the agenda to get that resolution right now.
That's fine. I'll just vote no on the bills and claims.
Yeah, you might have support.
No, I don't want to vote for the after-school program bills and claims.
Excuse me, have those, the only question I would have, Lisa, I happen to agree with you. However, if they've already used the services and the equipment, I would think we have a contract.
So let's go back to them and say the council is furious with paying $1,800 to the murder mystery company, and we want them to lower their bill, and we can bring it back at the next meeting and vote on it.
All right. So we need a new resolution. We need to have a new resolution to pull that from the bills list. Is that the only item that relates to the after-school program?
These are for services rendered.
That's what I was saying.
Right.
That's what I...
Negotiation needs to go prior to we receive these.
That's what I was...
Well, let's give it a try and see what happens, because a good business wants to do business, continue doing business with the municipality. So let's see what happens, and maybe it's a quarter phone call might save us a couple $100. It's worth a try.
Well, we were just told that we need Bill, we need a resolution to do that.
Remove that from the bills.
To remove it from the bills list. Okay. Well, we have a motion on the floor for the bills and claims. Can we just add a new resolution to remove?
It's already been seconded.
So we have to vote on it. So what would we do? No, but once we vote,
If it's 3-2 in favor of approving it, passes.
yes, but including that item, which we've been asked to remove so we could look at it more closely.
Right, you have a motion that's been seconded on the floor. It has to be acted on.
Yeah.
Let me ask you something. Since it's been seconded, if we vote against the bills and claims, can we put it back on the agenda?
Yep.
And then get the resolution?
To remove that item.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If we vote against the bills and, I just want to get the right procedure. If we vote against bills and claims, and then we have a new resolution to remove this from the former bills and claims, and then we can vote on what's left. Am I correct in that? Okay. All right, we're voting for bills and claims. Can we have a roll call? That's what we're doing now. I just said,
Really, I don't see the value in arguing over $100, $200. It's a waste of time. In my opinion. That's in my opinion. We have approved things on this bills and claim list that were mind-boggling, and people have approved it without a hiccup. And now we're talking about something for $1,800. But the kids were there, right? You have the numbers, how many kids attended and all that. So I don't understand what's the problem, because the attendance was there. I don't understand it. It was 48 kids, you said? I mean, $1,800, divide that by 48 kids, 3 hours, from 2 to 5?
I think you have a council person, we have at least 2, and with me it would be 3, that feel that it's the principal.
What's the principle?
The principal is overpaying for these.
How do we know we overpaid? That's
one
what I'm
way
saying.
to-
48 kids divided by $1,800.
If I may, I just did the math, real quickly. No, it was $17.99 divided by 48. That's $37.47 per person. Divided by 3 hours is $12.49 per hour per student.
I believe. All right.
Yeah,
We have a
if you
situation
wanna pull something,
that I hope will be
tires,
dealt
pull
with
that
in the
from Atlantic
future.
Towing. Pull that
Okay,
$4,500.
that's
How many
about-
tires did we get? 2?
Okay. Let's have a roll call.
The roll call is to what now? To approve it? Okay. Okay.
Councilman Cobb?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
No.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski? Council President Marin? So bills and claims is 3 no, 2 yes. Motion fails. Motion failed. Had 3 no's. You had 3 no.
Yeah. So let me ask you. Huh? No. I'm asking another question. That's what I'm saying. So what we basically said, the city of Englewood is not paying its bills this time.
No.
No,
What we
we
said-
are. This is what happens. The bills are not going to get paid.
Excuse me, Charles. I checked this out before we did this. We are now going to have a resolution to remove this one item from the bills list, and then we're going to do another resolution to
When are we going to
vote
do
on
all
the
that? How
bills.
do we do that?
This is what Bill Bailey suggested that we do.
The motion that was on the table and seconded, and there was discussion, just failed by a vote of 3 to 2. That was to approve the bills and claims as they are presented. I believe it sounds like there's going to be a motion to remove that one item
Correct.
from the bills and claims, which has to be voted. The 3 people need to vote in favor of that. And then another motion to
vote yes.
vote
for
on the bills and claims.
You just pay for the bills and claims?
No.
Okay.
Okay, we have a resolution now to remove the item, the mystery, whatever it was.
Item
Do I have a-
23-02182.
Okay. Do we have a motion?
So I move that we approve bills and claims excluding item 23-02182 for
I'll
that to be
second
further
it.
negotiated.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Discussion.
That's not the way you
Yeah,
suggested.
you can do it.
Fine. Can we
That way
please
as well.
have a roll call? This is for approving the bills and claims minus the item that has to do with the rec department's rental. Yancy,
Can I ask a question? So how are we going to solve that problem? Or
Listen,
perceived problem?
we're dealing with one issue. The issue has been suggested by 3 members of the council that we contact this company to see why they're charging this rate and if there's any chance of reducing it. The answer might be no, and it'll be here on the next bills list. Could we please have a roll call?
Councilman Cobb? This
We're
is a-
voting now. We are voting now, and if the people in the audience want to have a discussion, please leave the room. We are voting now on the bills and claims list minus the item that has to do with the rec department, the mystery, whatever. Could we please have a roll call?
Let's pay the bills. Yes, let's pay the bills.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay. We move on now to, we have no ordinances for second reading. We now move on to ordinances for a first reading. Yancy, could you please read ordinance 23-30?
This is, excuse me, an ordinance of the City of Englewood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, to amend Chapter 307, Article 1, disorderly conduct of the general ordinances of the City of Englewood.
Thank you. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Do we have a second?
Second.
Would anyone like to make a comment or question this?
I have comments. We've asked to discuss this several times. There's verbiage in here that still needs to be adjusted. I had a conversation prior to, and some of the verbiage is not acceptable. Where if we go to the pages aren't even listed, but if we go to 3D, collection of course, following the conclusion of such hearing, and within 30 days thereafter, the city manager shall issue written decisions therein and shall furnish a copy. I want to know to what extent are we excluding the judge?
Bill?
For 307-5, violation and penalties. Under section D, numeral number 7.
Can somebody read the whole thing?
That's the existing ordinance?
I believe, Kevin, what I understand is we're
It
adding
says
one...
draft on here.
Yeah,
Right.
we're adding one section, which is 307-4.
The red line section is the only change. The balance of this is what is presently on the books in the City of Englewood.
Yeah, that's the only change.
Yes.
Yeah.
But if we have an opportunity to change something, why don't we do it? Because obviously the books ain't that good.
I'm not sure I understood what you were... Kevin, could you please clarify what you were objecting to? I don't understand.
Okay, for those of you that are watching and listening that don't have the ability to look at the draft, it's ordinance number 23-30, an ordinance of the City of Englewood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, amending Chapter 307, Article 1, disorderly conduct of general ordinance in the City of Englewood. And when we first approached this, I put on record that I thought that this was very heavy in regards to the availability of our police officers to do their duty, and that it would give them teeth. In my opinion, in my particular ward, at this particular juncture, in this particular year, that we've already exceeded the ability for the police officers to do their duty. So my concern is giving them the opportunity to further create disorderly conduct. That's a concern of mine. That's a real concern of mine. And this came about initially when we talked about the ordinance for recreating the vandalism in the parking garage, which we have graffiti, the damage of properties. I don't know if any cars have been broken into or any bodily injuries, but that's also a concern of mine. And for us to revisit this, I think that it's a good opportunity to look at the whole ordinance. And I just want to know, are we superseding the ability for the judge, where we're obviously looking to arrest people with drunken and disorderly, which is a sickness, and we're arresting. This gives them the ability to arrest people that have a sickness, give them a fine of $1,000 that they may not even know that they have. And the fact that we have the opportunity right now to increase this ordinance where, as opposed to putting these individuals in a holding cell, if someone's bleeding, you send them to the emergency room. So if someone has an alcohol poisoning disorder or sickness, should we not direct our energy to helping these people and giving them the opportunity to the hospital as opposed to retaining them in handcuffs?
If I may add to that, Ms. Maron. So, Mr. Bailey, there's going to be criminal sanctions or civil sanctions?
So this ordinance is, if there's a violation of the ordinance and it goes to municipal court, and the judge finds there a violation, the judge can impose a fine. In addition to that, what this section provides for is that the city can, in a civil context, attempt to recoup the costs. For example, if doors were damaged, if there's graffiti, the cost incurred by the city to fix it.
So
this is in addition to what the
so
municipal
there's no
court judge-
criminal penalty?
It's a disorderly persons, which is not a crime in New Jersey.
Right, so
And the minimum fine is $1,000.
Yeah, so one of my concerns,
It's not exceeded.
one of my concerns is that it says no
Minimum
person,
mandatory.
no person shall knowingly enter or remain. The word knowingly is what I think the councilman,
That's on the books already. That's
no, I realize.
I realize that as well.
Right, but the word knowingly means that the person has to have the intention, the intentionality to have done something. If they're inebriated, they don't have that knowing intention. My point is that with the amendments that are being posited, and with the history of this ordinance, we have to really be circumspect here. Obviously, we want to clean up quality of life issues, but matters of disorderly conduct and loitering may be looked upon by the police in a different eye, is what I'm hearing from the councilman. And the question is then, is there any discretion that officers have here? Is there a panel that would review the conduct? If there's a video that's
No,
dispositive,
it goes to court.
it goes to court.
They do their job.
You either issue the summons or you don't.
Right. Am I reading this?
Right. But, and your comment about the knowingly, what's your thought about that?
Well, it's an intentional act, so.
But they don't have the intent when they're drunk to intend to commit whatever breach they have. They have a diminished capacity at that point. And if somebody has a bad day or is left alone by a relative because somebody has to go to the bathroom or whatever it is, they didn't have the intention to create any problem. The question is, can we put some qualifying language in there to negate that, to make it, a more serious breach that a police officer would then issue this summons? And if so, what kind of qualifying terminology can you put in there so that we affect the quality of life that we're trying to do? In other words, I don't like the word knowingly. I know that it was okayed in the past, but there's got to be, a caveat. If it's clear that the person has a diminished capacity and didn't knowingly doing this, put a sentence in like that, then this ordinance would not be effective. Add a sentence like that.
Whatever the will of the body
I mean,
is.
in other words, and I would put this to the council. We're trying to clean up, just like they did in other communities, quality of life. We don't want people hanging out in front of medical and mental awareness facilities, in front of liquor stores.
Absolutely.
And all of that. But at the same time, I would put some qualifying language so that if somebody has a bad day or is left someplace by a relative, that they're not then to be fined $1,000. That's a hell of a fine.
Or even shot.
I think when we first started talking about this, it was preceded by all the problems we're having with the garage.
Right.
And it seems to me, just looking at this, everything else in this ordinance is pre-existing. We have this. It's state law. What I'm suggesting, I believe we need a separate ordinance that just deals with the garage. And by doing that,
I'm okay with that.
Yeah, I think that's smart.
Because if you're saying it's a state law, 307-4,
right.
you're
that's
saying
state.
now that would be a state law, and that's incorrect. That would just be for us.
No,
So-
I
And you
understand that.
can post a breach of that ordinance in the garage, and it was specifically and artfully articulated for that. These other things can be, I think, overly broad, and we want to put some qualifying language into it.
Yeah.
So a police officer has to then, whether it's on the camera, articulate facts that can be corroborated, and somebody can defend themselves before the judge then.
Yeah, the reason I suggested, I think I'm fairly sure all of us are concerned about the damage that's been done in the garage and the lack of teeth we have, to do anything about it. And it just seems to me by trying to insert this into this other ordinance, that's where we're banging our heads against the wall. Perhaps what we have to do is isolate 307-4.
I'm okay with that, Madam Chair, and the fact that it says draft on here gives us a continuous opportunity to work this ordinance to its fullest.
Okay,
Well,
so
do you have to reintroduce the ordinance?
Yeah, we'd have to redraft it.
Just
We
as
can
a
do,
point of
you
order,
know.
that section 307-4 is part of the city code. But the idea to introduce a separate ordinance for the parking garage, that's fine.
I just think we'll have more time to do what has to be done, to lighten this, the rest of this ordinance.
Is this sufficiently vague, Mr. Bailey, the disorderly conduct ordinance of the city of Englewood? That it needed tweaking in addition to the
No, it was
garage?
primarily to address the issues in the parking garage.
Right, all right, so then do something
So we'd have to
specific for the garage.
draft a separate ordinance, not amending this section.
So can we table this?
Thank you. I make a motion that we table.
Do we have a second? Okay, roll call.
Councilman Kopp? Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski? Council President Marin?
Yes. Okay, we'll now move on. The ordinance 23-31. Yancy, would you please read it? This is a first reading.
This is an ordinance of the City of Englewood, County of Bergen, State of New Jersey, establishing Chapter 315, Procedure to Name Public Spaces of the General Legislation of the City of Englewood.
Okay, do I have a motion?
So moved.
Second? I second. Okay, discussion? Go ahead.
Who came up with this? Did they read some of this?
I believe we had
Yep,
discussed
the
this
public-
before.
Why don't the public have a comment?
It's a draft.
It's a draft? I don't agree with this.
What part of it, Chuck?
The whole thing.
That we
Because,
shouldn't have,
just looking at it, you gotta be deceased in order to get something named after you, at least 2 years prior consideration. We got people walking around here who've done some things that may need to be honored in all parts of the town that haven't been deceased and they're still walking.
well, we're discussing this now.
Okay.
That's why it's a draft.
Right, but you know what? In fairness, the way it happens, when people want to name people, the public generally comes to their council person or therefore of and asks, can we get this done, for example. So they don't know, so we would have to read each one of these out loud so the public could participate.
Are they gonna be dead for how long?
2 years.
Just 2 years. I think this takes its own, this should be a discussion on each one of these points and the public should be able to hear that. I think that, and this will take too long to do this tonight based on how many points we have here. And I don't know how we could communicate this with the public in fairness to get them to participate and understand, because the public is are the individuals that are going to request that these things take place. And if they don't know and they don't understand, then how does that work for them?
I believe this came up several months ago. I'm trying to remember. I know that I was approached to name things, and we had nothing in place that we could use. So we had discussed the fact that we needed the ordinance.
I'm not saying that we don't need the ordinance, but I'm just saying that I think some of these things need to be reworded, hashed out. You know, you're going to say prospective honorees should have demonstrated an extraordinary and consistent voluntary commitment and dedication to our community. Okay.
It's very general.
But that's very generic, so let's be specific. I just think that, that we should have, this should be something that we sit down and really go through each point and get the opinions of everybody, and then have this out there for the public to read as well when we put it on there. And first reading of an ordinance, I don't believe should be a draft, because that's why we have a first reading, and then we can go, right? Why not?
No. Phil, would you like to explain?
So typically you do discuss the drafts at a work session. Once something's on for introduction, ordinance, so governing bodies can act primarily in two ways, by resolution and by ordinance. Resolution is administrative acts, awarding contracts, approving bills, things like that, appointments. Ordinances are
Bill,
laws.
turn on your mic.
Sorry about that. Ordinances are laws. So under the law, before an ordinance can be adopted, it has to be introduced in basically its final form, and then a public hearing scheduled and on notice to the public. The purpose of that is so that someone doesn't come at introduction and say what they have to say about it and then not show up at the public hearing. So the public hearing is the official record of the testimony or presentation for that ordinance. That's why the law is structured that way. So that is why it has to be introduced, and other than clerical errors or minor changes, from introduction you can't change it to the public hearing.
So you're saying we've never tabled an ordinance before?
Oh, no, you can table it.
And we can, that's right, and you can change it when you table it.
Yes, yeah.
So
once it's introduced,
right. So
different
that's what I'm
ballgame.
saying.
It gets
So-
published.
Right. So, but that also gives the public the opportunity to review it.
Once it's introduced.
Right. That's right.
Oh, yes,
Once it's
yeah.
introduced, that's what I'm saying.
It has
so they have the opportunity to review it. And then if there were discussion points that don't agree with us, we could table it, and then we can change it again.
Correct.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. No, I understand. I'm not saying it's not, but I'm just saying.
It's kind of like
once
what we
it's
just did with the
introduced,
disorderly
right.
persons ordinance.
Right. So that's what I'm saying. That's my point.
Correct.
Handling it that way as opposed to this way. That's all.
Bill, are we able to make amendments to an ordinance in between first reading?
No.
So now would be the time to make amendments?
Yeah, because it has to be published in a newspaper as with the final introduced
So
ordinance.
even a minor amendment can't be made at the time of?
If it's clerical in nature, not material, that's one thing, but if it's anything material, it'd have to be reintroduced, because again,
Right.
it has to be published so that the world knows this is on the table for the next meeting, come to the public hearing if
Right.
you want to be heard. as to your
But that's what I'm
position on
saying.
it.
But
Yeah.
if you publish it, then the world gets to read it.
Correct.
They get to come in here and have their say at it, and they may have some very valid points, and then we table it, change it, reintroduce it, and keep going. That's kind of like the method and the mechanism we've been using since I've been sitting on the council. So, that's all I'm saying. Because I think that,
And that's statewide.
in something like this, in this particular case, when we're talking about this, I just think that, people, they will be the ones requesting this. So they need to understand what this means in terms of that. That's what I'm saying. And if we keep it as a draft in this form, They don't know. Because if somebody says, we want to name a street, they're coming to us to do that. So we got to have the opportunity to tell them, well, here's how it works. So they understand, but they need to understand how it works. And they need to have an opportunity to disagree with us before we put it in, etch it in stone, so we can get their feedback, because we don't know, certain things.
That's why you have to have a
That's why-
specific public hearing on each ordinance, as opposed to the general
Right,
public.
well, and I'm okay with that, that's what I'm saying, so, but the public has an opportunity to participate, and I believe, they should. And that's all I'm saying. When you read these things, I'm sure each one of us could give feedback on these things and whatever issues or concerns are, where you want to donate or whose name and all this kind of stuff. But let me ask you this, what happens when people are putting stuff on sidewalks themselves? What do we do for that? Oh,
That's code enforcement.
Those are signs or...
Yeah.
stuff in the cement, in the walkway. If somebody puts something, a plaque in the walkway, what is that?
If it's on public property, they can't do it.
Okay.
But, if it's on their own building or something, and it
Right.
complies with the sign ordinance, that's one thing, but if it doesn't, you can't do it.
But there is a reticence at City Hall, and I know this from experience, if somebody puts up a sign and it's not proper, to then go prosecute for de minimis changes. I do think that there is an interest in coming up with a protocol. May I ask why this ordinance isn't available for the public to chime in at this point and only at later?
Because it hasn't been introduced. It's a deliberative document at this point until
Right.
it's introduced. And again, this isn't an Englewood thing, this is a state of New Jersey thing.
No, I get
You
that.
have to introduce an ordinance, publish it in the newspaper,
Right.
generally
So
council put it on the
until
website.
that point,
That's the document, and that can be changed, and you have to have a dedicated public hearing based on that document for the public to comment on it.
So,
Right,
Like
and
what I've
that-
seen in the
that's been-
past,
that's
other
been the policy of the
municipalities,
city
is
for
they'll
years.
circulate a draft, it gets very confusing.
Yeah.
People-
So your suggestion
People
is to
think,
have-
oh, I came and I commented on that draft, but I didn't show up at the public hearing.
So
Well,
you're-
the public hearing is the official record of the proceeding.
so your suggestion, Bill, then, is to have a deliberative executive session on it, and then put forward an ordinance that's acceptable to the body, or at least the majority?
Yeah, that's typically,
I believe that if this is on the agenda, this would be the time for us to comment on what's in the draft.
Yeah, so if
Because
there are
you
any
can't-
amendments, let's get them introduced,
Because if
and then we
we,
can publish it with the amendments.
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
In other words, we have this in front of us. I have a feeling there are specific items that certain people on the council have a problem with. Let's deal with it. Let's talk about it now. And then we'll get something to publish so we could send it out to the public. In other words, you've got to start sometime.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Sure.
There are several lines here, there are probably over 20 lines, and to do this draft and this future ordinance properly, I think we should table it, because there's things in here for a street, you need 50 signatures. For a building, you need 300 signatures. If you want to put it on a building, it only lasts for 25 years. And on the street, it only lasts for 10 years. To rename, to have two names on a street, it's so many moving parts. I don't know if we got this draft from other municipalities or if this is just ours. But there's so many moving parts in this particular ordinance, and it's such a monumentous ordinance that we will be putting forward that, and we absolutely need it, that I think we need special attention to this particular ordinance.
So I think Councilman Wilson raises a great point that we absolutely need this. And I would point everyone to one line in the ordinance that says, the standards set forth in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So we need some guidelines out there, because the process that's been described tonight
Absolutely.
is a horrible process that currently exists,
Yeah, absolutely.
where someone has to call their councilman to get something done. So if the council person is unresponsive, then a person who might be appropriately be honored is not going to be honored because that council person is unresponsive. This gives people an opportunity to get things done without needing to beg favors of their council person, which is the process that's been described tonight. But the council can still do what it wants, because the standards set forward in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So my strong recommendation is let's get this through tonight. We'll have public comment in 2 weeks. And then, Bill, can an ordinance be modified in the future?
Yes.
So in a couple of weeks, when this is out there, and then if there's a modification of the ordinance, we can address it then. But we desperately need something on the books, and we need to get it done now because we don't have a process. And again, the standards set forth in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So this is not a monumentous ordinance. It's setting out some guidelines that the council can follow or maybe choose not to follow. But it does put some order into the process. So I think based on what my esteemed colleagues have said tonight, I definitely think we should move this and get it approved this year.
Madam Chair, if I may.
Please go ahead.
Thank you. I think this is something very important, and my esteemed colleague is absolutely right. And I've said this not once but several times. We have an opportunity to make history here. I think we have intelligent minds here behind the dais, and if given the opportunity, I would like to see us just do it once and get it right, as opposed to coming back and trying to correct it later. And in the spirit of transparency, I think because my constituents would like to know what's in here, I think we're at a disadvantage when we shoot a draft out for our eyes only, and we don't have any public input until later after the first reading. And then we publicize it, then we pull it back for changes. I just don't understand why we cannot get our constituents, not just mine, everyone's constituents, to take a good look at it. Everybody here has loved ones and people that have passed that you're going to want to memorialize. And I'm saying, let's get it right. Thank you, Madam Chair.
I would just, what I'm hearing, I'm trying to make sense of this. I think, and Ken, correct me if I'm wrong, please. What I'm hearing is we have to start somewhere. If we take this as a document, as a working document, and we pass this tonight, then we could introduce it at the next meeting and start working on it and have a public hearing where it's, you're disagreeing.
Well, I think we should pass it, and then, I mean, it's an excellent ordinance, but it's still guidelines. So nothing changes if this passes. The council can still do what it wants. If the council wants to do special favors for their preferred constituents, they can still do that. That's the process currently. People ask for favors from it. But we're setting out some guidelines, so if someone wants a naming opportunity without having to beg their councilman for it or the council person for it, we have that avenue. But nothing changes with this ordinance. It's not historic. The standards set forth in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So the previous way of doing things is still out there.
We didn't have a previous way.
Well, that's it. Going to the city council directly is a city.
Historic.
It's not historic. It's not historic.
Anytime you put a name of a loved one on a street or a building, I would consider that historic.
Well, that's good then, because this ordinance is not putting any names on any buildings or streets, but it's setting some guidelines that the council can choose to follow or not choose to follow. So let's get it out there, and then in the coming years, if some things are working and some things aren't working, the council changes things all the time. Half of our ordinances this year were modifying previous ordinances. But maybe we'll find this one works perfectly and we can take it forward. because again, it's only guidelines. It's not setting it into law.
Now,
The
does that
problem with
mean,
that is that we already have guidelines on the books that us as a council do not abide by. So that's where it lies, I have a problem. If we're going to abide by any guidelines, let's abide by all guidelines. Let's not just pick and choose.
what's confusing, Ken, is that can anybody use this document as a reason not to name a building after someone?
Absolutely.
That's what the fear is.
That's not in here at all. The
No.
standards set forth in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So it can't be any more clear. So there's,
Excuse me,
It says here, and
I think,
it says here on page 3B, petition, a petition demonstrating community support for co-naming proposals, which must include the name of locations of the proposal, co-naming, and a brief summary of the reason for the same. A street co-naming must have petitions signed by a minimum of 50 people, a majority of whom reside or have businesses within 2-block radius of the proposed co-naming, and must include the printed name and address of each person signing. A park building within the building must have a petition signed by a minimum of 300 people, including at least 50 from each ward. So, right there it tells me that if in fact that you need 50 from each ward, that these people may not be aware of who's in the first, or who's in the second, or who's in the third building that they want donated with their loved one's name on it. And that's just one line, petition B, out of another 19. So if in fact we're going to work this document, I suggest that we take it from the beginning. And so that we're here now, let everybody hear what it is. If we're going to work the document, let's work it. If we're going to push everything aside and work this document, let's work it now.
okay, can we do a roll call, Judy?
let's just see it. Does anyone else want to comment on this? Because this is I'm having trouble, Ken. For instance, when you say something like requests for street co-naming will only be accepted once yearly by April 1st. That's an absolute.
There are no absolutes in this ordinance because the standards set forth in this document are only guidelines for the city council. So it cannot be any clearer. We can pass this ordinance and it can still be business as usual, but last year when I was council president, I got over 50 requests for street naming, and it'd be really nice to say, hey, here's a process, and this is the process. So, and it shouldn't just be an email to your favorite council person. It should be, hey, here's someone important. I went around for half an hour and got some signatures on a piece of paper. Here's why this person's important, and present it to the city council. And street naming doesn't have to happen within 5 minutes of the person coming up with the idea. This gives us a chance to schedule them out throughout the year and do it in an organized fashion. But the council can ignore the process completely too. And we'd have this current process that we have now. There's no loss here. But right now when I had 50 requests last year, there was nothing I could point to. And it's a very uncomfortable position to be in.
I just think that the guidelines could be tweaked. I know they could be tweaked. And if somebody's got to go to each ward to get 50 signatures for something, good luck. Ain't gonna happen. Good luck. I just think that these guidelines could be tweaked.
My concern is your words are something I agree with. We need something to work from. And I keep seeing guidelines, but the average person reading a document like this is going to believe this is what they have to abide by in order to have a building named, a street named, and that we could sidestep that and totally ignore anything here is not very clear. It's identified as, these are the guidelines. That's what I'm having a problem with. I would
So
vote for
right,
this.
right now, what is the process? People have no idea what to do. So someone who doesn't know their council people, maybe doesn't like their council people, now has a process to get it done without having to ask a favor. So, perfect is the enemy of good. Right now we have lousy. So putting this on there, we can still do the same old way. People are still going to email their council person and say, I want this, I want that, and we can do it with any order we want, in any time frame we want, because we're the council. The council has ultimate control over it. But a person who isn't familiar with the council, doesn't want to go begging to their council person for this special favor, now has a process to get it done. So let's get it passed, get something on the books. It's probably going to work perfectly. And if not, you make some changes. But nothing changes from today to December 20th. Nothing. Except that a person who's disenfranchised now has a chance to honor someone who's deserving of being honored. Someone doesn't have to ask the council person for a favor.
Well, Judith, if I may, some of the standards should be.
If you would like to have a discussion, please step into the lobby.
Some
This
of
is a
the
very difficult decision. Excuse me.
some of the standards may be debatable, but seem smart. Having 50 residents is nothing to get 2 pages. It's literally 2 pages of signatures, and it gives the council member, the mayor, the city government a sense that there is some interest, and you can burn through 10 pages in a day, easily one person if they are motivated to get something. That doesn't offend me. The fact that somebody has to die to be honored, I would like to hear the competing interests in that. But look, there's an ordinance before us. Tabling is easy, and there's a notorious crew that likes to do that. Rolling up our sleeves and spending the time now, just make a decision, put something forward, because we know there's something that needs work. And then you just do the best that you can, and you can change it next year. But, tabling things doesn't mean it's going to get done right away, and somebody wrote this thing, and if there's some things you want to debate, maybe somebody will agree. All right? We don't need somebody to pass, but we want 100 signatures, or we want 50 signatures. I think you can bullet these things fast and put it forward. I don't like tabling things. It's tedious.
No. Well, I agree with that, and I see this as a working document. It is called a draft. So basically, it gives us the bones to work from, whether it's to remove things from here, completely, or add things. At least it's a document that you could work from. So I could see where we vote for this, knowing that there is at least a third of this that we would like to change when we go through public hearing and, but at least we'll have something.
But you have to reintroduce it, just so you understand that.
Well, I'll note, no one has suggested an amendment. So if there are amendments, let's discuss them and vote on them, and maybe they'll be incorporated.
Madam Chair, if I may, I've probably said too much in regards to this particular ordinance for me to be characterized as a notorious crew that likes to be tabling things. I don't consider myself part of a crew. I don't consider myself consistently tabling anything. I like to table things when there's no transparency, when my constituents don't have a chance to give me feedback on a draft, And if I'm part of that crew for my constituents, I'll take that. But notorious, crew, tabling, I don't accept. I brought up a part for B petition, not saying that 50 people offended me. I read this from the draft, so the people that are here and are listening, that they would know exactly what's on here. They have no idea what's on here, so I like to give my constituents an opportunity to contribute.
Kevin, I don't think, maybe I wasn't clear. I totally agree with what you're saying.
You were clear, but some comments were just made, and I can only, I try not to be personal here, because we need to be talking about the bigger picture, which is the city. And if in fact that someone here thinks that something should be tabled, I would respect that opinion, because they feel so because there's something that's not sitting right with them. And if we're going to be supportive with each other, we should be able to table some things. We should be able to pull some things down. And so these name callings with crew and doesn't offend me, that's getting a little personal. And I'm trying to sit here and not be offended because I want something tabled, because I think it's important enough, and because we've never had anything on the book. I don't understand what the rush is, and I don't know who's doing personal favors for naming buildings and streets, but if in fact that this isn't being done right now, I don't understand why we can't work this document. And if there's an objections, let's go through it. Let the clerk read it into record.
And that was my thought. I wasn't reflecting that there's a crew here or anybody's
That's
part
what
of
you
a crew.
said.
In the past years,
You said, I'm trying not to be personal.
I understand that, but in the past years, things were notoriously tabled and never taken up again.
I wasn't
And
here, Mike.
I understand that, but I'm
Give us
making
some
a comment
examples.
that
You're
has
making comments
historic
like that.
significance, and that is there are scores of ordinances that never went through it. Now, I'm not a proponent for this or not. I'm happy to veto this thing if it's in the poorest spirit, and it won't survive the year if I veto it artfully at the right time.
You like everything in here?
Well, you
Do I?
can veto
No,
it
I
if you
don't
want
like
to.
everything in there. But I don't have to like
It's your
everything in
decision
there.
to veto it. And if you want to veto it,
I
you go
don't
right ahead.
have the decision authority on this. You do, okay? And I think that my point is if there's something that needs work, I don't like putting it off. If you can do it tonight, good. If you don't feel it can be done tonight, that's also a good comment.
The reason I mentioned this is a draft. It's something to work from. If I keep repeating this, because to me, it would seem this, if we pass this, it means it's on the books and we are going to work on it. It will appear on the next agenda and we'll start taking this apart section by section.
No, but what Bill said is it cannot be amended in 2 weeks. So this is the time, so everyone on the council got it last week. This is the time to amend it. And we've been talking about it for an hour, and I still haven't heard a single suggestion for an amendment to it. So which implies to me that it's good as is, but if there's
I'm asking for it to be tabled. I'm making it clear. And I said it earlier, if you heard me, I don't agree with it at all. That's what I said, let's be fair. And I said that, right? So you did hear me say something. And that's all, listen, I didn't, it wasn't me that wanted to come here and spend all night on one document. But I got my notes, so we can have that. But I can tell you this right now. You want my vote? My vote is no. I'm gonna say that. Because I don't agree with the timelines on certain things. And I'm not, and I know how things fall through the cracks up here. So, you know what? If we're gonna do this, we're gonna do it right. And I don't do, because somebody wants a favor. I'm gonna put your name up on Van Brunt Street. We don't do that.
And I'd like to apologize. It wasn't my intention to make this personal in any fashion. I just think that if there are opportunities for us to get things done, I don't like them principally being put off. And if it means rolling up sleeves and doing it tonight, do it tonight. If it's too much, then the council puts it on.
I'm still stuck with the idea that we have to work from something. This is a draft, but, I mean, I don't...
Judy, but this has been every ordinance for all time. Everyone got it last week, still no suggestions for amendments. We have one council person who's going to vote no, no matter what.
Well, we can go through B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. I don't agree with any of them. How are we going to wait 2 years to somebody, we want to honor somebody, or somebody wants to honor somebody who's put in a lifetime with the work in Englewood? Oh, you got to wait 2 years. You got to wait 2 years because the council said that. No. 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 And then 10 years, then we're going to remove your name. What?
That's business as usual.
No, you're going to remove somebody's name? No, we can't. I mean, how insensitive is that?
So, excuse
I think
me,
we
so,
can table it,
so are you,
we can send
so
out
are you
comments.
suggesting those two amendments, Mr. Cobb?
But I read a few of them, right? In 25 years, I mean, I just can't, I think we need to table this. That's my opinion. And we need to put our comments and send them back. Yeah. That's my thing. Yeah, hold on.
I
Hold on,
just
I
don't
don't know, they're over there
understand.
whispering. Let them finish whispering on it. Don't worry about it, Yancy, we got all night.
What happens to this thing? It's only a draft. It's not a
Right, once you
final
introduce
document.
it's a final document that has to be published and put in the
Was Kevin
newspaper.
Wilson's crew?
You can't change it between now and December 19th.
Even though the council wants time to look at it. So that,
No, you would have to reintroduce it. If you make a material change, anything other than really a clerical error, it has to be reintroduced, which means then on the 19th, it has to be reintroduced, again sent to the paper in the revised form. And then it's too late because you can't straddle the year with an ordinance.
Let's pass it tonight, and so next year's council, pick it up in January.
Been dead for 1 year. We're his resolution.
I have
Dead for a year.
another,
That's up to you guys.
I have another thought, all right, for what it's worth. One of the things is to allow some of the more distinguished citizenry to enjoy the accolades and the respect that the community has for them while they're alive rather than when they die. So to my mind, I would rescind that portion of it. Again, say we're going to take 20 minutes and we're going to debate these things and then we're going to put it up for a vote. Or just put it up for a vote, or just table it. But let's make a decision. I, for one, would like some of the more distinguished people in our community who merit a name of a street or a building to be able to have that during their lifetime. For the parents to be able to take picture with the child or vice versa, somebody does something heroic and it means a lot. I think that should be done, and there's great value in that, for what it's worth. The petition signature doesn't offend me, because you really want the air cover of local residents to stand behind the reputation of somebody. I don't think we should table it. I think you should make a decision tonight.
So, Bill, would I introduce an amendment right now?
What section was that in?
Well, I believe there's a motion and a second on the floor.
If I want to amend it, I can do that.
Because I got the whole email chain.
Go ahead and talk. What happened? Let us know. You tell. You get paid.
I suppose, I don't know, I forget who made the motion,
I did.
could withdraw the motion.
And then I would reintroduce a motion with an amendment?
Right, but let's get all, I mean, I have a suspicion that
Well, I think the two most problematic ones are obvious here, so.
whatever,
Okay, so,
but
I withdraw my motion.
instead of doing this multiple times,
Yeah.
we should get it clear what the changes are.
Okay, so I withdraw my motion, and I I remove the ordinance completely excluding Section D, which is the timeline regarding an honoree being deceased, and Section K, which is a timeline that the street would be named for, or the building would be named for that person. So I'm reintroducing the same ordinance without Section D and K, and that could easily be stricken, right?
Yeah.
Okay, just in its entirety.
Striking's easier than
Okay.
language.
I'll second that motion.
Point of information or something. Are there other, I would like to add a few others to take out.
See, that's why I asked.
Okay, then I
Let's
would...
get the amendment.
Okay,
That's why we should table it, to get it right.
No, but we talked about this multiple times. Let's roll up our sleeves and do it tonight. So what else would you prefer, Judy?
I'm looking for it now. Here it is. It has to do with the location of what you're naming. Because I think in some cases, if you wanted to name a building, for instance, after someone, that it might not be, close to where they lived or whatever. So
No,
I'd like
that's only for a street. So building obviously is anywhere, and there are only a few buildings in the city. So streets are, the street the person grew up on.
What? That's the streets we normally name when people grew up.
No, but we only have a couple of buildings, so you're not going to move the building to the street that they grew up on. But if you're renaming the street, you're not going to pick a street a mile away to rename after them. You're going to, it would make sense to have it be a street that they're associated with.
All right, I would take out K, which is the length of time the name stays.
We took that out already.
Oh, okay.
D,
Sorry.
D, K.
Which was K?
K is 10 years and 25 years.
Okay, so the person doesn't have to die, and the removal, and the street then will continue ad infinitum until the governing body decides otherwise. Can a governing body decide to take down a name by ordinance?
That's another rule.
I'm asking.
It's going to be another
Bill.
ordinance.
What if something comes out about the person?
Yes,
and-
you could. We presently don't have that on the books.
So we'll need a new ordinance to do that, but that could be done at a later time. But you're not capping it out now to 10 or 25 years.
Well,
No, that was removed.
that was removed.
That's removed.
So
That was
there
removed
is no
in
mechanism to remove a name when you name the street or a building
You're going to need to do that after.
at a later time,
Yes,
when that happens.
right.
When that happens, it will be.
The
George
mayor
Santos.
the mayor of Richmond took down all the Confederate
Right.
statues and all of that. They had to do it by
Well,
ordinance.
I'll go back, excuse me, this is the council's discussion. I will go back to the initial thing I said.
Yes, go ahead.
These are guidelines. So,
Go ahead. Why don't you put it together?
you can name everything in the city after me in 2 weeks, and then change it again in 4 weeks.
Great idea.
Yeah, so, and then rename it again for me 2 weeks later. So we have that power right now. We're putting some guidelines in, so when people want to know what to do, and we've taken out 2 sections of it, and we have a motion that's been seconded on the table.
Okay. We have any other discussion on this? Okay, Yancy. We have the ordinance with 2 amendments, which is eliminating sections. All right, Yancy, this
What
is for
about
the,
B? What about section B? Did we talk about that?
what would you like to do?
Shouldn't be no time frame on it. If somebody comes in front of you
I agree with you.
by April 1st. This ain't like paying your income tax.
Okay, so I'll withdraw.
Withdraw it and add.
There's it, and I reintroduce
Is there anything else?
anything else where we got it. So we got B, D, and K
Withdrawn.
withdrawn.
Yeah, good.
Okay.
And this is a working document.
Well, not after, if it gets 3 votes, it's not a working document.
Okay.
You can work on it next
Did
year.
you make a motion?
So I've made a motion 2321 with the removal of B, D, and K.
Okay, we have a second?
Yeah, I'll second it.
Okay, Yancy?
I'm going to make a comment, not about this, but, and I don't know if, oh, my mic is on. You know, this is what the council session is supposed to be. This is a working session of the council. We're supposed to be doing council work at this time. People don't, this is what people doing council work together looks like, as opposed to getting up on the phone and having conversations one-on-one. So thank you to the council for having a conversation.
Don't think that when you hide them, just get out of here. Fix it already.
Charles is not ready.
So, you don't want nobody.
On the petition.
Well, I think a building is such an important item. A street, I think, should have a much lower threshold. We have so few buildings that are in the city, so I think it should be a high threshold because that's literally going to be chiseled in stone. No.
City building.
No, we're talking about. We can't. You can't rename the city council cannot rename my house to the Charles Cobb House. I can rename it to Charles Cobb House. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, but
So that.
So if we would have got one signature, the name is Firehouse up to Jack.
Well, yeah, but that process still exists. That process still exists.
In a case like that, and all I'm saying is, what happens to that? People tell us like, oh yeah, we got to go get 500 signatures for somebody's name. They didn't do it to the building agreement right. They didn't do it that way. Those are examples. And I think people would have been offended if we said, oh, we need to do this. Not that they wouldn't have, but I think that would have been essentially based on the work that those gentlemen put to the city.
You guys are notoriously wasting my time.
But doesn't it go back to the fact that, again, it's a guideline and the council could decide if it's such an
Exactly.
important person that they're not going to do that?
And it's going to be pretty obvious in that case.
Right.
I think the instance that this guideline really helps the council is someone who thinks their family member or themselves and maybe doesn't have the historic importance to Englewood, but the building should be named after them. And there are a lot of people with delusions of grandeur. Like I said, I got 50 requests last year, and it puts the council in a bad position where, you have to be the one that says no. But someone like Councilperson Drakeford, that was a very easy decision, and for those who served with him. But some person just off the street who you might not even know says, well, name this building after me. How are we going to say no to them? We don't have a process. Or a council person on their way out says, let's name all the buildings after me on December 31st at 4:59 p.m. But these processes are still the same for the obvious ones. But there should be a high threshold for a building. It's a building, chiseled in stone.
And 500 signatures is not a lot.
300.
300 is certainly not a lot. And it would have been an honor if somebody came to me and said they wanted to name a building after Mr. Drakeford. I would actually look at that as a privilege to sign on a petition. It's setting a process. It may not work. You may have to change it. The vote construct in the coming years will change over time, as will be the need. But there is a need to set a process and get started. I think this is really magnanimous. I'm impressed with this crew.
Okay. So this is roll call with, I just want to confirm, amending by removing sections D, K, and B.
B as in boy, D as in David, K as in Ken.
Okay.
Or Kevin.
Roll call.
Councilman Cobb.
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig,
Yes.
Councilman Wilson,
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski,
Yes.
Council President Marin.
Yes.
The public hearing will take place on December 19th.
Come on, Amy, let's go to the mic.
That was easy.
Yeah.
Is that this part? It's the public session yet?
I'll wait.
Hold on.
For comments on agenda
Okay.
items. Comments on agenda items.
Okay, we're moving on.
Yeah, public session?
Pardon me. Public comment on agenda items. Once again, we invite you to come up to the microphone now. Name, address, you have 3 minutes. Thank you for being here.
Amy Bullock, Howland Avenue. I'm going to go really fast because I have a couple of things. First of all,
Yeah.
these draft ordinances for first reading need to be included in the agenda so that we can see what you're talking about. Having a discussion in front of us when we don't know what you're talking about makes no sense. And there is no legality preventing that, because I know for a fact, and I can send you the example, that there are other municipalities that do that. Let's talk about this rec program everyone's concerned with. I want to know, for the 3 ice skating instructors that we spent $2,320 on, how many kids did they teach and how many hours they spent on that? This disorderly conduct. It sounds more like we have a loitering and vandalism problem in the parking garage, not so much a disorderly conduct, so maybe Bill could explain the difference on that. Now, this resolution about naming people, which I know where it came from, thank you, Councilman Rosenzweig. While you're at it, you need to add in that we're not selling the naming rights to any of our buildings either. But let me give some history here. Councilman Rosenzweig, as council president, was gracious enough to get through the renaming of the street after Dr. Bernard Bell. I sent an email to Judith Marin as council president about renaming something in honor of Mr. Nesbitt. I believe that the council must have a policy in place to define the process of selection of those to be honored with a street named after them. In addition to that, we need to clearly state the length of time the street rename would be in place. Appreciate your involvement, wonderful honor that we can bestow upon our special citizens. Please be aware we have many worthy requests for this honor. Listen to this. As soon as the resolution is in place, Mr. Nesbitt will be the first on our list of those to be considered. So just remember that, because I have
I
been
never
writing.
forget.
I then also offered to help in whatever way I could, because I agree there needs to be a policy. And I actually drafted an ordinance based on ordinances from other municipalities that I shared, and this was in March. So I would like to know why all of a sudden tonight on December 5th, it is so critical that this happened at this very moment without the public being able to see what was included in the draft or the ability to have input around the buildings and streets that our tax dollars support. And the last comment I'm going to make in my 25 seconds is, it's really insensitive to address police behavior in one mental health instance when you have a family here who still does not have answers. It's also insensitive to want to discuss a recreation program for the children when you have a situation right now where a child has been sexually assaulted by a city employee. Talk about your priorities. Clearly, priorities are not in line. There are a lot of bigger issues in this city than how much we pay for a mystery program.
Yeah, Rick Wilby, Englewood, New Jersey. I mean, it's kind of disingenuous. We already know that the fix is in with this whole thing. Ken is not motivated or excited about anything the way he's excited about this ordinance. But we know what's going on. And how long are you guys going to play this game with people? We see what's going on. We see the disrespect. We know that things are going to change around here. We see it with the police department. We see it with our council. We see it all over this town. But I don't know why you people can't be honest. There's people here that have something important that they have to say. Some people have to leave. You guys are discussing this thing for a whole hour plus when you know that the fix is already in. Ken, stop acting like you're trying not to disenfranchise people. You disenfranchise people all the time. That is what you're good at. This is the reason why Englewood runs the way how it runs. And it's the same thing with Lisa. Stop trying to make comments like we don't know who the real notorious crew is. The real notorious crew is Dr. Lisa Wasowski, Judith Marin, and Ken Rosenzweig. Those are the power here in Englewood that do as they please, and the people that are up here as accessories is Charles Cobb and Kevin Wilson. We don't need their input. Let's call it what it is. So please, stop with the BS and all this back and forth smoke and mirror stuff, because, you know, it's hard to insult me, but it's very easy to piss me off. All right? And you guys are pissing me off because there's parents here that have something very important to say, and you guys are talking about the stupid ordinance to name streets when you guys already know that the fix is already in. We know what's going to happen here in Englewood. We're going to see streets with names that we don't even know. And we're going to see names that we know being removed from buildings so you could put names on those things. Right here in this police department, because somebody from the East Hill is buying the police officers lunch every day, they have a lunchroom named after somebody already in that police department. Did he go through the process? Did he go through the process, Ken? Or because he's an Orthodox like Mike, everything goes freely? Because this is what happens around here. It's not about what you know, who you know, it's who you are in Englewood. And we as black people know that you don't care about us unless we win something. Or you want to get up on your Bible or your Quran or whatever you pretend to be and act like you care about people. But you don't. You don't care about people. And it's not even insulting anymore. It's infuriating what happens. Because we know what's going on. But it won't go on forever. Because every rope has an end.
Leroy Campbell, Tunnelfly Road. Ordinance number 23-30. The ordinance that Councilman Wilson brought to the table. And I know it's been tabled for now, but let me just share something with you guys. If this ordinance ever passes, it's got to be consistent and it's got to be fair to everybody. I witnessed on Hudson Avenue 6 Caucasian police officers, 1 Caucasian young man locked himself in a bathroom at a convenience store. They called the police because the merchant couldn't get him out. So what happens? This young man got taken to Bergen Pines or New Bridge, whatever they call it now. He got taken to the hospital in an ambulance. So if an African American youth get picked up in the 4th Ward, we want to see the same consideration. We want to see the same treatment. It's not fair. All right? And the evidence of what this young man was doing got thrown in the garbage. And I sat there and I watched this. Now that evidence should have been, evidently he wasn't going to be prosecuted or charged because the evidence got thrown in the garbage. But the evidence still should have been taken to the hospital so the doctors would know what this young man was doing in order to treat him. But no, they threw it in the garbage. And I sat there and I watched all of this. All right? And I'm going to give you another incident. I had a church member who had an accident on Tunnelfly Road right in front of my house. They came and put handcuffs on him because they thought he was drunk. 2 days later, this young man was dead. He was dead because he had a brain tumor and he blacked out. He wasn't drunk, he blacked out. All right? These are the kind of things that are happening here in Englewood, and it's unfair. And it's unfair. So I hope there's some changes in this city for 2024.
Would the ordinance that was proposed just now put protocols in place for city rooms like the police room or weight rooms and all that in place? Do those have to go through this chain?
Yeah, rooms are in there.
Rooms are in there.
Yeah.
So the police can't just name a room in their headquarters without going through the same protocol.
I guess, I don't know what that room was. It's probably a PBA room, which is
Right,
one
so,
of the cities.
right, so if it's a PBA room and it's independent, is that what happens? I'm asking the question.
Well, we'll have to read the ordinance, but it's in a city building, so whatever the room is, there's no differentiation between,
Right.
a PBA room in a municipal building.
So
There's a process.
what I'd like to
think
do
we
is
should
make sure it's
find out
included
about
in the
it.
same process, that's all.
Yeah, okay, there's a gentleman that would like to speak, sorry.
Yeah, good evening. Woodrow Torrey, 316 Windsor Road. My issue is with the service that we get around here from DPW department. I took pictures of how they clean up the leaves. That's the first issue that I want to speak of. I took pictures of how they clean up the leaves. After your yard is done, they come around, obsolete equipment, and just push the leaves all up and down your street. Your street looks like garbage. I mean, like garbage. That's not acceptable no more. I'm sick of it. Second, I've been on Windsor Road for over 26 years plus. My street has potholes, it's cracking, and everything. When are you going to resurface it? My taxes is high. I pay for that service. And I'm tired of paying for a service I don't get.
Let's see if Mr. Hoffman, Windsor Road? Oh, I'm sorry. I got so carried away because I know Windsor Road very well. You're going to have to wait until these are questions on the agenda at this section. Would you mind waiting until the end of the meeting and we'll let you comment then? Sorry. That's my fault.
Hi, Colette Thompson, Howard Road in Englewood. I have a question. A couple of years ago, I had requested that Howard Road be renamed after Janice Dismas, who died in 1982, and I wanted to commemorate her 40 years. And I haven't gotten a response because there wasn't any, I guess, protocol. You guys didn't have the process of what to do when you want to do a street naming. So now, am I going to have to get the 50 signatures? Is that I'm not feeling that at all, even though I've been trying to get the street named after Janice E. Dismas at the middle school. Howard Road, I would like to name it Janice Dismas Way. So I just hope you guys reconsider the process because I think I can get 50 signatures in each ward if I really wanted to, but I just feel like the process, I just don't agree with the way you guys are going to vote on this. So I just want you guys to think about what you're going to do, but I really want to rename Howard Road Janice E. Dismas Way. She's been dead for over 40 years last year, and that's the middle school in Englewood.
We named the middle school after Janice.
Yeah, so you would only need 50 signatures under this proposed ordinance, and then bring it forward to your council representative, and from there, start the process. Yeah, bring it to the council.
She doesn't need 50.
Pardon?
She doesn't need 50. You don't need 50. You don't need 50. You just need to bring it here.
We don't know because we ain't seen the order.
Well, you don't need 50. It's just guidelines. It's just guidelines.
I'm gonna have to take it out. Hello, Joy Ore, Englewood, third ward, I believe. All right, so I'm here to talk about what happened at the after-school program with fun. Okay. All right.
if I may, we never voted on 380. That needs to be included.
Oh, I thought we did.
You gave the plaque, but it wasn't voted on.
Okay,
Are we
sorry
responding
about
to the
that.
comments?
So we're going to do this through
Madam Chair.
380-12-05.
Are we responding to the comments?
We finished.
Oh, they finished. Responding to the comments. I
Okay,
didn't hear.
do we have motion on consent agenda resolutions? Please?
A motion, you mean?
Yes.
I so moved.
Second? I second. Roll call. Are there any questions or discussion on any of these items? Okay, let's have a roll call.
Councilman Kopp?
Yes.
Councilman Rosenzweig?
Yes.
Councilman Wilson?
Yes.
Councilwoman Wasatski?
Yes.
Council President Marin?
Yes.
Sorry, I just asked the council to please talk into the mics, turn them on before you give your roll call so it can be recorded into the system.
Okay, we're now moving to, there are no resolutions for discussion. We're going to ordinances for discussion. An ordinance amending Chapter 25, Section 25-20, Schedule 12 of the Traffic and Parking Ordinance of the Code of the City of Englewood, West Palisade Avenue, from the monument to the Teaneck border. Would someone on the council like to explain that? Would you, Bob?
Oh, at the last meeting, we were just asked to put this on for discussion.
Right.
So that's what it was, and this is for the street sweeping?
Street sweeping, right.
Yeah.
Does anyone have anything they would like to speak about?
Real quickly, my concern was in the fourth ward that tickets were being given out on an alarming rate in regards to street sweeping, and there were no signs. So that's why I wanted it to be enumerated properly so the residents knew exactly when to move and not just have temporary signage. And so the last meeting, we had examples of the signage. We weren't clear on the time, and there's a need for this throughout Fourth Ward, especially if we're exhibiting an increase in tickets, and there's certain signage that is not on Forest Avenue. So I don't just think that this ordinance should cover Palisade Avenue. I know that's a main throughway, but I think all our resident streets are important as well. So I'd like to see if this could be carried over throughout.
What I think would be even more helpful, Councilman Wilson,
Yes,
is
sir.
that we institute a sign program where we replace all the signs in Englewood because they look pretty bad. And we should do like the rest of the towns in Bergen County do. Teaneck is blue and white, Tenafly is black and orange, and why can't we get maroon and white? And Coriander Way, they already beat us to it, and it looks
Yes.
pretty nice over there.
Yes.
And so I'd like to have that. Don't worry, Yancy. I'll let you. I'll give you the notes.
Don't forget 40 is orange, black.
Yeah, all the towns are following them.
All the high school colors.
Right, all the towns are doing that, Leonia and all of them. So, and we have some signs that need some help. So we should look to really go through the whole city and have a sign program. Get it right.
Yeah. So just as a point of reference, we've done a review of all of the signs so based on reflectivity and other things, so we can provide that with the council at a later date.
That sounds good.
Terrific. Anyone else? Anyone else have something to say? Okay. We have two items for discussion. One is 2024 Juneteenth events. I don't really know, who would like to speak about that? Somebody wanted that on the agenda.
We were asked to put that on the agenda, so there's just a memo that the council can review, and then it's there for future discussion and during the budget process.
Okay.
With
That's
some
good.
options, that's all.
So what are the concerns with Juneteenth? I don't understand. We've been doing that for a long time. Is it financial? Is it logistic?
There was a couple things with logistics, so the governing body can take a look at that and then review it, and then there was a couple decision points for the 2024 budget. So,
But I think it would be helpful if Councilman Wilson ran point on that, along with Lieutenant Joe Hoyle. These are the guys who make it happen, so I think that conversation would be with those gentlemen. So they know the particulars, they've been doing it for a long time.
that's true. So, yes, so that would be great. We've reached out to Mr. Hoyle for that, but look forward to him being able to talk to me about it.
Well, yeah, him and Councilman Wilson, I think.
Terrific.
They're better served to handle that.
Good. All right, the next item is something that I would like to talk about. We have, I think all of you were sent, we have a series of properties that are odd shapes and odd sizes that are owned by the city. And what I'm expressing now is my own personal feeling, excuse me. But I would love to see the city hold on to all of these properties, and depending on the size, the shape, how much of a flood area it is, turn them into parks and gardens. They're throughout the 4 wards. I don't know the exact number, but there are about 20. And I would like to see the council have a committee formed that would be advisory to the council in looking at these properties and determining what to do with them. I'm talking about holding on to the properties we already own and making sure they're kept in good condition, that those that lend themselves to it would be developed as parks, and as I say, in some cases, community gardens, and hopefully look for grants and funding, maybe from some of the large companies in town. I just would like Englewood not to get rid of those properties. I'd like to keep them as open green space because I believe it's important for the flooding issues. I don't want to see anybody come along and pick these properties up and try to put housing on it. I think they should be kept open and green. And I would like very much for the council to consider, in the near future, perhaps having an advisory committee formed. And of course, since I won't be on the council next year, I would love to be part of that, because I believe very strongly in having the properties that we already own remain Englewood's green spaces.
Can we have these properties, Mr. Bailey? Can we put these on the website so that the residents know these properties, city-owned properties?
Yeah, it's up to the prerogative. Yeah, it's public information.
It's public information.
I know Mr. Albert did this.
Yeah, because
it was done in
I
2011.
don't recall years ago when it was discussed. I know.
We could get ideas from people whether they want to make gardens, community gardens, or whatever there is. The only thing is when we go to do gardens like that DPW will be charged, or the city will be charged with maintaining that. So that's the key.
It's still city property.
My question is to Mr. Hoffman, are we maintaining these properties right now?
Not all of them. Some of them are easements, are only 4 feet wide for drainage. And then 2 of the properties that are on that list were, I guess, were sold a few years ago, but there's 22 properties on that list. And not all of them are maintained by the DPW.
Well, that's why I think we need a committee and people looking at it. And I just don't want these properties to disappear.
And to speak to that point, City Manager, I think it's important to note that you said that not all of these properties are maintained by DPW. And the general public does not know that. I get emails and phone calls all the time about certain properties and parks. And what I would like the public to know is that we do hire out. So we have contractors doing some of our work, and some of them are subpar. And so there needs to be a fine line on how we stay on top of these contractors that we pay astronomical prices and that do not do a diligent job. So I just want to take some of the weight off of DPW. Sometimes they get a bad name, but there's certain properties, like you just spoke of, city manager, that are not maintained by the DPW.
Well, I'm going to keep mentioning it.
17 parking spaces that Parco is using and pay for the sign, the new city sign.
Your turn may be coming because this is the last item on the agenda before public discussion. Oh.
I'm not that young anymore.
Well, I have great faith in you. Anyway, is there anyone that would like to say anything before we close this part of the meeting? Okay. So I'm closing this part of the meeting. I'm opening up the public session. You're invited to come up and speak about anything that you want to. Once again, name, address, 3 minutes.
Amy Bullock, Howland Avenue. The last 2 council meetings, I asked 2 questions. One, I hope is going to be resolved tonight, and that going forward, whenever there is an ordinance on the agenda for first reading, we will be provided a copy. You can watermark it to say draft. I specifically asked that you not say it wasn't included because you didn't want to confuse people and insult our intelligence, and that's exactly the answer that was given at the last meeting. So I'm asking you again not to insult our intelligence. We understand what the word draft means. I also asked that we have a policy on nepotism, cronyism, and political patronage. Mr. Hoffman, you said you would get an answer, so I'm hoping you have an answer tonight, because we clearly have had an issue with some nepotism in one of our departments. In regards to the situation that has happened at Sun Fun Day Camp, I think that the city, I understand there's an investigation going on, but the city needs to give a statement assuring the community that they have crossed their T's and dotted their I's to ensure that proper background checks were done, people were put into positions that they either had the credentials or skills for, and that we don't just have anybody moving from parks and grounds into managing kids at a Sun Fun Day Camp. So I'm asking the city to give a statement on what was done or what is being done to ensure the safety of our kids, and I'm asking the city to please provide parents some guidance on what they expect them to do with their children since Sun Fun has been indefinitely shut down. Parents were at school at 1:30 today picking their kids up because they got notice that the after-school program was shut down. And for parents who have to work, this is posing a real problem. So I hope the city is reaching out to Bergen Family Center or some of the houses of worship or whoever it is you need to reach out to try to find some resources for these parents who are now in this situation, which is through no fault of their own. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Joy Ore, Shepherd Avenue. So, yes, I wanted to continue what you were saying about the Sun Fun. And, well, to tell you the truth, I feel like maybe if Englewood had something in town for our children to do outside of school, maybe then we won't rely on things like some fun and after school program because we'll have something. And I love the idea that you want to save some of these buildings to build gardens and all that stuff. Is beautiful. But the same way we're doing that, we could also use these buildings to do programs for our children, put some athletic things in place for our children to do. I'm sorry, like I don't come to these meetings a lot, but when I think about Englewood used to be someplace I thought was like upper echelon, like rich, But Englewood is mad ghetto. We're on the same level as Newark right now to me. And Newark is actually doing better. They got pipelines that are, the rest of the world is studying to run their water. Englewood has absolutely nothing for our kids to do outside of school. They don't have anything for our young kids to do. We want to do gardens, we want to do all this stuff. We need to pay attention to our children who are being raped because people are putting their adopted son into supervisor position when they're not supposed to. This boy that did this is 21 years old. There is no reason for a 21-year-old child to be a supervisor of an after-school program for children. He is a child himself. So I'm trying to understand, first, how he got the position, and second, who allowed him to, and what qualified a 21 years old that we know did not finish college or have the education to supervise and run a program like that. Why was he even in that position to do that, to be running, have that kind of power at the age of 21? So, and he's not even from this town. So because his mother, and we all know what it is, and that should not happen. This little girl, these two children, and by the way, I did my research and I found out that last year, another security guard raped a 16 years old girl in the high school. So this is something that is becoming like, come on, this is supposed to be Englewood. This is the historic town. This is the town that other towns look up to. When you tell people you come from Englewood, they say, ooh. But this is not part of Englewood that I want to know. I don't send this is one of my greatest fear, and it's like knocking at the door to have two children hurt at the school that my son attends. It's disgusting, and we need to do better. And I'm happy that Sun Fund is shut down. I hope it stays shut down, and I hope we find something to do or give our children to help with the time that will allow parents to be able to work and know that their kids are in a place that is being ran by professionals and the people that know what they're doing. Thank you. That's all I want to say.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay, there we go. Good evening. Tanika Foster, Cambridge Avenue, Englewood, New Jersey. So I'm here to talk about exactly the same thing. This is a little disheartening. This is the third time we're hearing about sexual assault with our children here in Englewood. There was a maintenance worker, the Parks Department. Now we have a young man that was doing Sun Fun after school. We had an incident up at the high school. My phone could not stop ringing with the heartbreak from the parents of what's going on. One, these parents, they don't have anywhere to put their children. Where are these parents that had their kids in the after school because they can't get to them on time? Where are they supposed to put their children now? Is there something in place? Is there an alternative? What are they going to do? My own child attends Sun Fun. He goes for the entire summer. Will we have a Sun Fun camp? Is this program going to be revamped? Is our rec department is going to be revamped? This is very disheartening. I've answered over 25 calls from families in this community that they can't be here tonight. They have to be up 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning. A lot of our families here, 4th Ward, 3rd Ward, not in the 4th, I'm in the 3rd, but it doesn't matter. They're working 2 and 3 jobs just to put food on the table, just to make ends meet, just to pay $3,000 rent for 2 bedrooms. This is very disheartening. We need to do something for our children. Our children are our future. This is what we have. And we need to make sure they're protected. We need to make sure that whatever background check needs to be done, needs to be done. Doesn't matter if it's grounds and maintenance. It doesn't matter if it's resource. It doesn't matter if they're a child. If they're working with children, we need to go the extra mile. For the Junior Raiders, I'm on the Parent Coalition. They asked me this year to fill out like a volunteer. They wanted to do my background. Please do my background. I don't work with the children, but I'm happy to do it. We need to go the extra mile to make sure our children here in Englewood are protected. Thank you.
Good evening. Henry Washington, Liberty Road. First, I wanted to start off and just say thank you to Councilman Wilson. Almost every time I go any place, I see Councilman Wilson. So I just think it's great that you're so engaged. Oh, you're welcome. One of the main reasons I'm here is in representation with the Placide family, with Bernard Placide Jr., who was killed when his family made a phone call for emergency assistance for a mental health crisis. It's been over 1 year, about 1 year and 3 months since the shooting death, with the call in response to an emergency health crisis. As a stigma-free community, how are we, the city of Englewood, bringing peace to the family of Bernard Placide Jr.? What steps has the city taken to make sure that there are solutions and processes in place to protect those in need when someone in our community reaches out for emergency assistance during a mental health crisis? And has the city reached out to include the family of Bernard Placide Jr. in this process? And mental health crisis is something for us to keep in mind. And mental health crisis is requiring emergency assistance occur more often, and we need a solution now. Thank you.
Rick Roby, Englewood, New Jersey. You know, I had the privilege this weekend of attending a fundraiser for Gaza, and somebody asked me on the hallway about genocide. I want to read the definition of genocide: the deliberate killing of a large number of people from a particular nation or ethnic group with the aim of destroying that nation or group. I want to say this, and I want to be clear on it. Palestinians are a Semitic group of people. I'm glad that the Ku Klux Klan didn't have a fancy word like anti-Semitism to hide behind. Killing is wrong. There's been over 20,000 people, half of them children, killed in Gaza. For what? For an occupation that claims to have the right to defend itself. Under international law, you do not have the right to defend yourself on stolen land. As a matter of fact, it's the opposite. The people that are being occupied, that are being terrorized and being killed by the most advanced military next to the United States of America, they are in fact the terrorists. And the Palestinians have the absolute right to defend themselves. I've listened to some of these coffee with the mayor routines, and it's stomach churning to see the support. And I won't even utter who you're supporting or what you're supporting, because it means absolutely nothing to people with an education. The worst thing that a Zionist could do is to encourage somebody to go read a book. If you read a book, you understand about the 1948 Nakba. You understand about the Balfour Declaration. You understand how the occupation took place. You understand about the injustices that has been perpetrated against a sovereign group of people that never asked to be colonized. Right here in America, it happened to the native Indians. This is what white folks are good at. They come, they see, they kill, they conquer, and then they write the history that reflects how noble they are to support white supremacy. You need white Jesus. You need white Jews. I've never been accused of anti-Semitism by black Jews. I happen to be an Israelite myself. This is very funny to me. Last week, Wednesday, I attended a rally with the Teaneck Public School District, and those kids are now getting death threats. I seen a little girl stand up and say she's proud to be a Zionist. You know who else was a Zionist? Theodore Herzl, who was a racist, a secular, non-religious Jew. He did not believe in the Torah. He believed in the Talmud. You say the Palestinians are beasts. You call my people beasts too. You say Nat Turner was a terrorist. You say black people were terrorists. For what? For defending themselves? Let me read a scripture to you before I go so you understand, because I read this to the news people that asked me a question as he asked me something about what's going to happen. Numbers 35:33. So you shall not pollute the land wherein you are. For blood it defileth the land, and the land cannot be cleansed of the blood that is shed therein, but by the blood of him that shed it. The man asked me, what does that mean? I said that if you kill, you're going to be killed. All the stealing, raping, and killing that's being perpetrated in this world will not go unpunished.
Donovan Rodriguez, Liberty Road. Good evening, everyone. So I'm here because sexual assault of a child is a very serious crime, and it should be met by swift consequence. I hear that Merle Simmons is on vacation. I don't hear that she's been fired or resigned or that she's been put on administrative leave, unpaid, and she's in charge. Why do we have our children in constant danger and having families to suffer, not just the families of the victim now, but other families who have nowhere to send their kids after school? because there was a breakdown in leadership, in proper supervision. I've been in this district, in this city for several years, and I've served the public. And for many years, there have been complaints and reported complaints about Sun Fun and about Merle Simmons and her management style, and that they constantly recruit and employ unqualified people, unvetted people to work with our children. They use children to supervise our children. I've gone to school to pick up my son at after school, and he's not there. And I'm like, where is he? Oh, he's over at the ice rink. No one informed me. So I drive to the ice rink, and the only people there other than the kids are 2 high school kids who are employed by the rec, the Sun Fund, to supervise our children. Now tell me, honorable councilmen and women, if these were your children, how would you feel? What would you do? What would you do tomorrow and next week regarding how the recreation department conducts its so-called athletics programs in our schools, and the people that they employ and how they organize their programs? Someone is ultimately responsible for what happened to our children and to this little girl. And if the buck stops with Merle Simmons, I respectfully implore you and beg you and ask you, get her out and get people in there who can actually do a job that this city deserves and that our parents deserve.
Good evening. I'm Jessica, 299 West Englewood Avenue. My daughter is an attendee at Sun Fun, and she said her best friend is one of the sexually assaulted. She's often with her. As a licensed therapist myself, I'm actually shaking because I'm very upset and emotional. As a solo mom, I have to find out what I'm going to do with her. But I don't want it to sound like I'm complaining, but I think this is something that we need to take very seriously. I shouldn't have gotten an email with click this link and then open it up and hear about a sexual assault of someone very close to my child and no follow-up. I think the parents need to get seriously communicated constantly about what is happening. I agree with the other person that mentioned we need to find some place now that'll assist us. I paid for the month. I pay out of pocket for everything. I'm a single parent, and I paid for Sun Fund for the rest of this month. Now I have to figure out what to do with my child and run my business and do my and can be concerned about her safety. Second complaint with McLeod that I was going to take up to the superintendent last year was with with the teacher's lack of, I think she's out of the school now, but it just was poor communication. She missed her picture day, was all glammed up. She missed her picture day, constant calls about not being able to handle. It just seems like from the after school to the school, there's just poor management, poor communication, but here's the stinger. Last summer, my daughter attended Sun Fun and did the overnight trip. I pick her up the second day. Counselor, no one said anything to me. My daughter says her wrist hurt. I looked at her wrist. It was swollen, huge red. She broke her wrist the day before. They said they attempted to call me. Well, because no one told me when I picked her up her wrist was broken for an entire 24 hours. I'm a business owner. I was planning to go and finish working on my online webinar that I planned so I can make my money. I'm driving my daughter to urgent care. Camp counselor didn't tell me anything. Didn't even say, hey, Mom, I tried to call you. There's an issue with your daughter. We don't know if her wrist is broken or not, but I'm just letting you know we couldn't get through.
No one said anything to me, allowed me to pick my child up with a broken wrist. They did x-rays at urgent care. Her wrist was broken in like 2 places. I did paid for all of that. I was told by Merle that, oh, we have insurance. First of all, I complained, but when you're in a tight corner, you're like, I don't know what to do because school started. That was the last day of camp. School started, I guess, the week or so later. So she was in the after-school program. I was working with them to see what can be done. Submit your stuff, we'll take care of it. This is a year later. I have nothing. She said, I gave the paperwork. They said what they could say. Again, made poor judgment again, I guess, putting her in Sun Fund because I figured I did something wrong. I have to get my medical insurance paperwork for reimbursement. But now I'm going to make time to go to legal. I'm going to make time to get a lawsuit because I paid out of pocket for her to get her stint, her wrap. No one informed me. And then to hear this. So I just wanted to know and make sure that you know, parents, like I'm prepared to take as high of an action as I can, but I wanted to let you guys know, if you could do whatever you need to do, because there are so many parents that are upset right now, and I don't know if what's gonna happen after this, but I just wanted to make sure to let you know, and it does link right back to Merle Simmons. So it's 2 incidents with her, and then the school overall, other incidents. I know I went over time, but I just wanted to speak. My name is Jessica Marshall. Jessica Marshall, 299 West Englewood Avenue. And I don't know if there's information I can get so I can follow up because I don't know if Merle gave me proper information. Yes.
Do you still have the medical records, Ms. Marshall? You do? Okay. And you were told at the time that there's insurance for it? Did you put an application in for it? Right, and? Thank you.
How you doing? My name is David LaFond. I'm Tenafly Road here at Englewood. I've been here for 20 some odd years. Over time, last time I spoke at the council meeting, I think the common theme that everyone is sort of portraying is the general services inside Englewood are degrading at what appears to be a rapid rate. And the poor lady who just spoke and her situation is very unfortunate. There's probably many different ways to look at this, but usually in government, there's a sort of a process called business continuity. And unfortunately in Englewood, we're so far behind in many different things that there's probably nothing been looked at to continue some services that are vital to individuals who are citizens of, our city. And I think we should extend this accountability issue further than one individual and take a look at, across the board, the degradation of services and the lack of planning in general, because now the general populace obviously is dealing with a very difficult situation. But to compound the issue, they're unable to get normal services, and that seems to be a general problem here at Englewood. For some period of time, our recreation department has been on the downward slide. We've been continuously losing vital services to all of our children. And this situation is extremely unfortunate, but maybe we could look at it at a bigger picture and get a different perspective so that people who are dependent on these services are not cut off in entirety. On another note, I happen to have an uncle who was a police officer in Fort Lee who died in the line of service, and they named a park after him. His name is William T. Birch. And it would be extremely disappointing for someone like that to lose their name, who in recognition of his life for service was granted on a park or that matter. So it probably would behoove the council to really think deep about how they're approaching this naming topic, because individuals who have given their life in service for the city, you know, it's really not fair for the next generation to come along and just take that away. And I don't know the details of all the things related to the topic, and I didn't know my uncle. He passed away at age 26, left 3 kids. And it's really, really sad that something that would happen specifically for someone who might have given 50 or 75 years of service to a town, or likewise, or lost their life rather early, would be stripped of that honor.
Leroy Campbell, Tenafly Road. Harco Industry. And I know you said that cities should hold on to as much property as they can. Harco Industry served no purpose to that piece of property adjacent to Harco Industry served no purpose to the city of Englewood. It only served purpose to Harco Industry. There's 17 parking spaces there, and they're utilizing all 17 of those spaces. That's a piece of property that I think we talked about going back, and I think, if I remember correctly, the quote was $77,000. We need to sell that piece of property. The city could utilize that money for other things because it's just a strip of 17 parking spaces. That's one thing. The other thing is, I come to these meetings, I see people get honored, I see people being rewarded, but I never hear anybody talk about the DPW and the work that these guys do. And I know some people are not happy, but listen, I've worked with those guys. I've been out there with those guys as a third-party vendor hauling snow. Those guys work hard. And this city should show them some appreciation for what they do. These guys are running around trying to get these leaves up before the snow comes, and they're working hard, they're working in the dark, but nobody is saying anything about what they're doing, and it's not fair. It's just not fair.
Good evening. My name is Kia Thornton Miller. Live here in the city of Englewood, Kingarten. Mother of 3. All attend Sun Fun summer camp as well as Sun Fun aftercare. I don't do this. I don't do public speaking. I sing. I wish I could sing to you everything that I want to say. But I'm so very intimidating, but I felt compelled to come up because I have a daughter that works for Sun Fun in the summertime, which I don't think it's a problem with youth working, right? They have to start somewhere, but the ratio of adults to youth, I don't think it's enough adults to guide the youth. Okay, it's more youth than adults. The director of Parks and Recreation can be very intimidating to approach. When you're having an issue, you have a problem, you want to speak to them. My daughter that works there in the summertime has come home plenty of time in the last 2 years crying, feeling like the director doesn't like her. She's, feeling put down. And I always feel away because I need somewhere for them to go, right? But, now I have to confront the director because I'm a mom first. In the summertime, I do not feel safe for my children to go there. My children go there because my oldest daughter works there. And so that just gives me a little bit, a little safety net. But I feel like we need to do something about the head. It starts at the head. I'm sorry, I know this firsthand. I see it happen. I'm there. I'm all the time picking up my kids, wondering what is going on? Why is this happening? And it's really nobody to talk to as far as the head. And when you do go there, you get, excuse my French, bullshit answers, okay? And I just want to say I went to Washington Township. My daughters are dancers and singers, and we were at this beautiful community center. I could not believe it. I was in awe. I'm like, oh my goodness, if Englewood had something like this, this would be amazing for our children if we just had a place for them to go other than the skating rink that has rats in it. I was sitting there talking when I went to confront the director about my daughter, and it just ran across. and this is where my child is, you know, something needs to be done, a change needs to be made. I even feel intimidated as a parent to go to the director if I have an issue. Okay, it shouldn't be like that. I should feel comfortable. You know what? Can I talk to you? Something has to be done. A change has to be made. And I think my time is up. Thank you.
I'm sorry. Excuse me, can we let the woman holding a child go? She must be very tired. Okay.
She's holding the baby for me. Thank you. First and foremost, thank you so much for being here and doing amazing work for our town. I know we have a lot of issues, but every place have issues. My name is Beverly. I'm coming proudly from the 4th Ward, Thompson Avenue. So 2 things. One, I am just appalled about whatever crisis management plan the Board of Education, whomever is running the communication plan for what is happening with the after-school program. I think, anyone that, does, service work or runs organizations, et cetera, there is a crisis plan in place for things like this. Communication is key. So I'm not sure who has that plan, if there is such a plan, but again, we would like to see that and see what the next steps are. One, is there a press release coming out soon? What are the next steps for the 200 plus families that were depending on the after school program, including myself? What are we supposed to do? Again, it's December, month of the holidays. Are we supposed to expense something else out that we were not budgeted for? We're demanding immediate remedy to that, for the next 2.5 weeks. What are we supposed to do? Right? That's one. And then 2, in terms of how we are hiring people that work with young people as an educator, every single person that steps foot at the high school that I am employed in and work with, they need a background check. It doesn't matter how old you are. If you are working, right, whether you are a contractor, etc., there is a very strict policy on that. We demand to see what those policies are and if the Sun Fund organization actually did that, right? So this has to be in writing somewhere. So again, if there's a press release, a town hall meeting, all these things should be addressed very clearly and very visible, so that you can instore faith. So we can instore faith back into our community, because again, this is very appalling and scary, right? Again, young people working with even younger people. Thank you.
Oh, I'm tired. Good evening, and I just want to first applaud all the children in the audience that have been here through everything, said, guys, you are amazing, and we love you, and we have to, as a city, do better by our children. I don't think that pinning the failure to our community children should be bestowed on one person. I think that we do have a city that is responsible for every department, and on the council, who is responsible for overseeing the recreation department? Okay, Mr. Hoffman, thank you for identifying yourself. Has there been any reports that you can share with the public in terms of what are going to be offered as supports? Because obviously it hits close to home that a child has been sexually assaulted, raped, and if it was one of our children, and I think that if you live in Englewood, this is one of our children. And what has been shared in terms of trauma, I can't tell you the hurt and the pain I feel for this mother and this child and their family. This is traumatic experience that could have happened to any one of our children. And to not get that support from the city immediately, even from our council members, is really disappointing, obviously. And we need to stand by this family. My heart and prayers go out to the family, this little girl, her mom, and her family. She'll never be the same after this, right? And when we sit here, we talk about a murder mystery and complaining about $12 per child. That's not the way to go. The way to go is, what are we going to do to support the families in the community? What programs are going to be offered? What is going to happen, Mr. Hoffman, with those families that have already paid for the months incoming? As also, how can we prepare for summer camp? What are our options? Can you, as a city, help us to put these children in another program? And who's going to run that program? Have you spoken to as a matter of fact, what other after-school programs are in the city besides Bergen Family Center?
What about shared services with teenagers?
So we need to have that. I mean, you would agree, right, Mr. Hoffman, that we need answers. What can be done? Can we partner with trauma services for these children? Parents are obviously affected by this. They've been traumatized. And will the money be refunded? Will we be accommodated?
What's your name?
Magali Matos.
Okay.
And thank you very much for hearing me out. God bless everyone.
How you doing? My name is Kel Hansen, Arlington Avenue, Englewood, New Jersey. I recently moved back to Englewood about 3-4 years ago with the purpose of making an attempt to restore what I believe Englewood should be. I'm a graduate of Dwight Moore High School. I went to school in Long Island. I have a master's degree in communications, and I decided to leave my current job to go back to teaching to give back to the community. I was the assistant director of Sun Fund during the summer camp, and I also worked at the after school as well. I think it's important. Thank you. I think it's important not to throw the baby out with the bathwater. So although there is definitely something that's tragic that needs to be fixed with the way certain things are ran, Sun Fund, I worked at Sun Fund as a teenager. I was awarded my first position on my first job at Sun Fund, and that's what made me want to come back to work for the community because of my experiences of working for them. Do they need to be checks and balances? Absolutely. I do believe that we need to create a system where workers can speak and not have to necessarily go through the director. Because if there are things that are going wrong, as a worker, we don't know who to talk to. If there's a complaint that we may have or something that we see, we don't know who to go to. And I think that ultimately should be addressed to prevent things like this from happening. I have children that go to Sun Fund. You know what I mean? It's a tragedy. I don't know, from a person that goes there, I don't know what could have been done to prevent it because I'm not in the inner workings. But something has to be done ultimately.
Hi, Chiquita Barnes, Van Nostrand Avenue, Englewood, of course. I'm here to support the families that are affected by the recent allegations of the city employee that violated the code of not harming children sexually, physically, and mentally. My daughter was affected 5 years ago mentally through this programming, and I vowed that my child would never attend a city program if I'm not in attendance. So I know that everyone is not like me that can't take their kids out of these programs, but I tell you, I will fight for my child, in any way, both of my children. But she was emotionally struggling through this program. So I want to know, why isn't it a duty for every parent or every person to protect our children, especially in these schools? That's where we're thinking we're at home and that's our safe place, and then we're sending our kids out to schools and they're being violated. And that's just unacceptable to me. So what have the city have done to support the school population with alternative child care services? I want to know specifically what the safety policy and protocol that failed our children, and is the budget allowing for providing qualified, sustainable, protective services? And is Sun Fund prepared to relinquish its licensing rights to operate under the McLeod School? Thank you. Oh, one last thing. I don't think a mourning mother should sit in a city council meeting every time. There's something has to be done for her and for her family. That's just unacceptable. And the third thing I forgot is, why do we always have to come here to beg for services or to be treated right? So I think we just need to get it together as a community and work together. Thanks.
Good evening. Judith, we spoke earlier today. My name is Carrie. I was on a mission to get to know everyone in Englewood at one point because when I moved here in 2018, I joined the PTO with the goal of effecting enough change so that my husband and I don't have to pull our kids when they get to middle school and high school. And I keep working at it from 2018, and I get reset, we get reset, important positions get reset every year, and I'm doing book fair and not looking to make a big change. It's after 11 p.m. We arrived over 3.5 hours ago, and I just have like one question, maybe two. Henny, how old are you? He's 8. Do you think you're old enough to know what sexual assault is? No, he's not. And you guys are shielding information from us that's really critical and important, but we don't have the choice to keep that information from our kids, because if I don't talk to them, if I talk to him, he's listening. If I don't have these conversations with them now, like tonight, they're gonna learn at school from kids who are not using appropriate language, or they're hearing things in the background from their parents, or they read their phones. They do everything. My kids are so shielded. They use one raggedy old iPad when I am desperate to like have them be quiet for 3.5 hours to sit here. They don't have Wi-Fi access. They don't use their school computers at home. I keep them as innocent as possible, and Englewood School is taking that from me. And I think I could get it somewhere else, but I don't want to, because we live here now, and we want to make this like the Englewood that we all heard of. Joy said it used to be a prestigious place, and every time we go to a Board of Ed meeting, that's all that guy talks about. His kids went to Englewood. That's not the same Englewood anymore. I'm very sad for the families, because we don't think it's going to end either. There's like a line of things happening that we can't keep up with. And if it weren't for the WhatsApp group that we formed for ourselves, I wouldn't have gotten that message. I get text messages every day that the bus is arriving late, but I don't ever get anything from McLeod School, and that was an issue before. I don't know the name of the principal right now. We're not being invited into the school. We don't know enough information. Thank God my son has great teachers. But I reached out to them to say, what are these kids supposed to know? What is their knowledge base right now? And the teacher said, we haven't been instructed to speak with parents or kids about anything. So they're just talking at lunch or gym or wherever. And the DPW, who was bringing that up? Sir, you guys did $12,000 of damage on my car, but I haven't had the time to deal with it. But we love them so much in our neighborhood, and they just like raked the whole side of my car, and I don't know who to call. But I'm not calling my insurance company because I can't afford to. So can I call you? Can I call you? Okay, I need a check.
Merlin Lawrence. By coming here and listening to those mothers talking about safety for the kids, I feel the same thing. When that happened to me, when I called the police for help, they didn't help me for Bernard. And I was listening to the two officers who've been helping the other families. You see the way they help them, the family, they do that for me. That's killing me inside.
to see how you guys in Englewood treat me, my family especially. My son, Bernard Plessy. That's why I came to the championship to show you. Bernard was in Englewood. He was a football player in Englewood. And you guys, I don't know, all Englewood people, they treat me bad. But I'm stronger than you. Because the way you treat me, I don't put myself like that. I know I'm serving a God who can help me through my situation. But I'm listening to those murders. That's why I feel sorry that happened to the mother. But I know that's going to happen in Englewood because those kids, you don't provide nothing for those kids. My son was a football player. He played for you guys. How you treat me? Nothing. Even though I sue the Englewood, but it's not the way you're supposed to treat people like that. I'm a mother. I've been a great mother for my son. I know my family's been through a lot with Englewood. I know you put my family a lot. And then I've been there to see all the mothers now talking about their safety for the kids. And I feel it. It's very sad. You don't take care of the kids in Englewood. I see that and I feel it. That's why I said I want to talk because I've been abused by that. And all the mothers, that's what you have to do. Come here and talk. I'm the only one that happened to me to come and talk about my child. You never come to talk about the issue in Englewood. You have to come and talk to protect your children. That's the way it's going to be if you don't come and talk about your issue in Englewood. That's what happened. And we have to get together to do that, to help those children. They need you. And then now, I feel the same pain again. My son who passed away. They didn't help me when I called the police. And I regret for the rest of my life, I did call them. I didn't know what to do. I called them to help me in the situation. We had a moment. And Lorna, she didn't do nothing. She didn't call, oh, Bernard, what can I do for you? How do you feel? Well, at least she said that. Bernard will listen to him. We listen to her. They didn't do nothing to protect my son. Now who's suffering me? Now you're going to feel how to talk, to protect your children. The same thing happened to you now, guys. I'm telling you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Joe Hoyle, Elmore Avenue in Englewood. And to the Perceived family, my heart continues to hurt for your family. And I will continue praying for your family. I just wanted to go on record to congratulate the Dwight Moore High School varsity football team on their championship victory for the Ivy League championship. My son, Joseph Hoyle Jr., is the head coach of the team, and I like to congratulate him as well. And he's done a fantastic job turning that whole program around. And I look forward to many more celebrated occasions with their victories in the high school. It's really come a long way. And thank the city councilman at large, Charles Cobb, for having the faith in the program, as well as Councilman Kevin Wilson. I thank you. And I also wanted to make mention that it was a surprise to me to see Juneteenth on the discussion, but I would have brought some information with me today for that. But Juneteenth 2024, we have it slated for June 13th, 14th, 15th, and 16th, with the parade on the 15th. And Mr. Hoffman, I'll come up to your office tomorrow. I hope I could catch you in the office. Maybe I'll make the appointment.
Yeah, just call, and, I've got a couple of appointments, but yeah, we'll talk about it, and you can help go over those notes that I took over the summer.
Yes, okay. But those dates are June 13th through the 16th. And that's about it. Thank you.
Excuse me, I know I might be overstating my welcome, asking
No,
something
it's
again, but,
we only allow one.
well,
Please.
It's all right, Ken. No, 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 Ken.
Yes or no?
No, I'm sorry. You're more than welcome to come to our next meeting. Thank you. Okay, can I have a motion to go
I
into
move to go in closed session.
Do we have a second? All in favor? Okay, meeting is adjourned. What?
Colette Thompson,
Colette,
Englewood.
you-
How can I speak? I didn't speak. I didn't speak on this, did I? No, no.
All right, go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I didn't speak. This is my second term on the Recreation Advisory Board. My first term in the early 2000s, I started to complain about Mrs. Merle Simons. We're talking many years ago, to no avail. I've complained. We have clashed numerous times at our board meetings. I've spoken for the parents in the early 2000s, and she's still here. Merle is not a director that cares about the kids. She doesn't even have a relationship with the parents. The parents can't talk to her. I can't talk. Nobody can talk to her. She has a nasty attitude. She hires who she wants to hire. That's why we're in the situation that we're in, because she's hiring her people. And it's a shame that this is my second term on this Recreation Advisory Board, and nothing has been done about Merle Simons. I have asked for her to be removed before. And we're talking the early 2000s. When Michael Wiles was first mayor, I was on the Recreation Advisory Board. And she's still here. It's time that you guys take responsibility as city council and know that this woman is not doing her job as director. And from what I'm hearing, she has a shady past as well, but I don't want to throw stones right now. But this is the time the city council can make some changes. Merle has to go. It's time to get this recreation department like other departments, other recs in Englewood. We don't have a community center. We need that. So now we have to deal with her and this so-called rec department. And I'm on the advisory board, and it hurts me that I got to go to these meetings and complain and complain and complain and complain, and nobody's listening to me. Something has to be done, guys.
Go ahead.
Okay.
Wait a minute.
Before we close the public.
Yes, go ahead.
All right, before we go into closed session, there were several questions that came up, but it's important that everybody understands some of the issues in the timeline that's come up. So the city became aware of this incident that occurred there was an incident that occurred on Friday, December 1st. We became aware of it over the weekend. So did the Board of Education. What occurred on Friday at that Sun Fund program, it's terrible, but right now there's an active investigation that's going on, and it's a criminal investigation. It's being conducted by the Bergen County Prosecutor's Office as well as with our police department, but the Prosecutor's Office is the lead agency, and they have given us some specific instructions that we have to follow right now. So we are following that. We're not able to answer all of the questions that you've asked. We can answer some of those questions, and we will. But the key thing to know is that that individual was arrested, is in custody right now, and they're confined. They're at the Bergen County Jail. We've been in not constant contact, but we've been in contact with the superintendent. We had meetings yesterday. We've had conversations today just about what has occurred and what should be the next steps, and we are looking for alternatives for the program. And there will be items that will be coming out about that. We have meetings coming up with other providers so that we can have good options to present to the council as well as to our residents and that need this service. We're specifically dealing about the current program. We're not looking at the summer yet. We're just looking at what are the options that can be provided for residents and for those that need the service. As of Friday, there were 37 families that were enrolled at the McLeod School Sun Fund program. So there wasn't 200, there was 37, but that's still significant. And we are looking for options, and there are some things that we are going to be doing over the next 8 hours or 8 business hours, so that we can make some decisions. We're dealing with this as quickly as we can and as thoroughly as we can. There's an urgency to what we're doing, but we also have to take direction because we don't want to impede this criminal investigation. So we'll be back in contact. We want to assure all of the parents that we're working on this, and that we're also working with our staff. But there's something that came up today was, was what happened with that child and with their parents. They are getting assistance. They're getting both they're getting assistance, mental health assistance, that's being coordinated through the prosecutor's office, and they are being taken care of that way. So please rest assured that that young girl and their family are getting the mental and assistance that's required, as well as the medical assistance. Today we also had a meeting with our staff, because we have staff members from Sun and Fun that are hurting as well, because they feel terrible about what happened, and we wound up we had a meeting with them. We talked about them after we received permission from the prosecutor's office, and the prosecutor's office had detectives speaking with people both in the that work for the city as well as work for the Board of Ed. But we wound up having a meeting with our staff to give them reassurance, but we also had a crisis counselor that was there so that we could talk to them, because something bad happened, but we have good people that are working for the program, and they are hurting and they need help. So I wanted just to make sure that you knew about that. And then there are several other things that are going on, but those were the basic items that needed to be talked about. And thank you for that. Thank you for that, Council President.
I have something to say. Mr. Hoffman, we don't have to wait for an investigation to make sure that the people get reimbursed their funds, their dollars that they've invested in there right now. The city could take action on that.
Okay, well,
excuse me? No, what I'm talking about right now is what the city could do financially for people who have already paid up, that they need to get their money reimbursed back to them right away.
Yeah,
That's what the city can do right away. And I think he said that they were doing some other things, and maybe they're in touch with Bergen Family Center and other resources. But people right now need money to pay for something else, whether it's a babysitter or somebody else. Excuse me? But it is, and no disrespects to you, I heard people come up, they want to get money back. So, this is something that I believe that the city could do, because that doesn't take involving anybody else. There's not other agency.
All right.
Well, not everybody's paid credit card. So people have paid, and some people have wrote checks who needs the reimbursement. Yeah, you can dispute whatever you want. That takes time. The city can add it right away.
Excuse me, I think we have to close.
Yeah, we have.
Right. Well,
okay.
Excuse
you
me.
can get services if you have money.
Okay, Mr. Carr, I hate to interrupt you. We have a motion to close the meeting?
Sitting in the back. She's
You all
But
know
you don't
Barb's
get it.
phone number. You could call City Hall.
Listen,
Okay, we have to
I
close
get
the
it. I think
session.
I'm pretty smart.
We had it already. Could we have a motion to close the session? I know, she said she needs enough. Okay, we're going to have to
The
close.
point is, the city should do something. We
Okay,
understand.
we all agree. We all agree.
But
The city should provide a service that's available, correct?
We are all on the same side. We are going to do everything we can. Motion to go into closed session. Do I have a motion?
I made a motion.
Second? I know.
Carrie?
so move.
Okay. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye. How
Okay.
expensive is it?
Okay, the session is closed. We are now going to go into closed session.